what up, what's good, what it do, what up with it, however you say it, where you're from. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being here with us. I am one half of our co-hosting team. I'm Steve, and this here is
Liz.
That is my beautiful wife of 19 years. It feels like it's 35 years. Almost. Mm-hmm. All right? Almost. We celebrating 20, right?
We are.
Coming up next year.
Next year, yes.
All right.
June will be 19.
That. We got to start planning though, right?
Yes, we do.
Copy that. We doing it here or we doing it in Connecticut?
It's up for debate.
Up for debate? All right, copy that. I'm not going to fight you either way.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
But either way, this is Marriage for Grown Folks, a safe place for all of you who subscribe to the idea of the institution of marriage. Maybe you're thinking about it. Maybe you hate it. Maybe you've been there, done that. Okay. And maybe you want to get better at it.
Yep.
All right. But either way, we call this edutainment, trying to give you some information and some fun, share some stories. And also just help people out. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Definitely.
All right. Just trying to help some people out. Okay. But I feel pretty good today. How about you?
I'm feeling all right. I'm ready.
You ready to get it?
I'm ready.
All right.
Let's do our thing.
Let's have some fun. Mark, how you doing, man?
Phenomenal.
The engineer.
He said he's phenomenal.
On his job. He's phenomenal. Well, he's on his job because he just ran his business meeting like Newt Gingrich.
I love it.
Yeah, he did his job.
He was setting us straight.
Yeah.
Setting us straight. I love it.
Listen, it's the power of intentionality. Mm-hmm. I mean that wholeheartedly. It is so overused, right? And probably overheard. But the power of intentionality is everything. This is a podcast. And we just are happy when we get 85 people to watch on YouTube, right? But because we have a good staff and we got a good team, we realize that it's only a piece of what we're doing here because we're here to stay and we mean it, right?
Exactly.
Super cool. Super cool. Take it away, man.
Okay. So, question for the day, temp check.
Let's get it.
What's your go-to drink?
I don't drink.
Okay. So, let me go first. You could reference that, but what I was actually talking about was like, what is your go-to? Mm-hmm. So, you go to Starbucks. What do you love? So, for me, I don't like, unpopular opinion, I do not like Starbucks coffee. But I absolutely love their matcha. I know. Very unpopular opinion. Yes.
Okay. That's the green stuff?
That's the green stuff.
All right.
Okay. But I like it sweet. So I get their matcha lemonade.
Okay.
Yes. No sweeteners, nothing like that. Just.
Is the matcha the drink that it's called, or is the matcha the thing that the ingredient inside of this drink?
That is a great question. I guess matcha is like this powder, Asian inspired. I don't know which country, but it's got a lot of like antioxidants and some other stuff. It kind of tastes like grass. Not going to lie to you, okay? But when you mix it with sweet, it's good. I got it by accident.
Okay.
And so that is my go-to drink. I do have a Starbucks like macchiato thing, but it's really expensive, so I don't typically get that. It has to be like a whatever. So just thinking about like your Starbucks order, or you can pick whatever time frame. So if you went out to dinner, what would be your go-to? If you were at a lounge, what would be your go-to? So thinking about it that way. Okay. So I'll go first.
Okay.
And I started with the matcha and lemonade for Starbucks, right? So that would be, typically that's a morning thing.
Okay.
I'm taking the kids, go do that, fine. If I were to go out for dinner, generally, we're pretty simple. Water and a Coke, right?
Right.
Water and a Coke. And I'll just kind of sip both of them, fine. If I go to a lounge, because I do drink on occasion, lemon drops.
Okay. That thing, wasn't that Karan's?
I don't know.
Wasn't that Karan? I think you and Karan was doing lemon drops. Drinking lemon drops one night.
Whatever. Maybe. I have no idea. Yeah. I have no idea. But
I went to Johnson & Wales. I was supposed to learn these drinks, and I realized that I was never going to be anyone's bartender or any of that. And I don't drink. So color me square. I know nothing about drinks and, all that stuff.
Okay.
All right. So lemon drops is what you're going with?
And the Starbucks.
And
yeah.
Okay. For
So take
me,
us through. Take us through the day.
this is a good temp check. I mean, I'm always trying to drink as much water as possible, right? But if I'm at Starbucks, I'm getting, as we talked about last week, I'm messing with the citrus tea, which the street name, as we talked about,
Medicine
is
ball.
a medicine ball.
Okay.
Right. So I don't drink coffee either. I'm finicky. If you,
I do drink coffee. I don't
Yeah,
like
I don't-
their coffee. But
we definitely got different taste palettes.
we absolutely do.
Yeah, but I was a finicky eater as a child, and still am a finicky eater.
I was gonna say don't say
So
that in the
coffee
past
just
tense,
has
baby.
a really weird. It has a really weird taste to me. Coffee has a weird taste to me. So weird taste. I'm just like, it's 85 degrees outside sometimes, and people are just knocking these hot drinks out, and it just don't fit. But
Because it's not about the heat. It's about what we need to get our day going.
But I fear that though.
Okay.
I fear that because I'm like, if I need something to get going, that means that something else is off. That means I'm not sleeping enough, and I'm not. Anyway.
Correct.
I digress.
Okay.
I digress. So shouldn't you solve the real problem?
Mm-hmm.
Shouldn't you solve the problem of not being tired?
Okay.
Or should you adjust your body to needing the caffeine to keep whatever?
We listen and we don't judge.
No. When people get checked, they call it judgment now. I know the world's changed. People don't like feedback.
Pansies.
Yep,
They're pansies.
yep, soft.
Anyway.
Soft. SOF capital T, soft.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going with once again, medicine ball at Starbucks. I don't drink coffee. When I was younger, I used to love the orange pico. Yeah, the
Tea?
orange pico tea. My mom made a mean orange pico. Maybe that was the only tea that she had in the house, but that was one that I grew to like. I liked
Okay.
it, I liked it super sweet. A little honey in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Diabetes, but that's what I liked. Oh man, what a good meal? I like a strong Coca-Cola.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? And what's really, really funny is that I really fell in love with Coca-Cola in England. My uncle turned me out.
Yep.
Had me at Taco Bell late night. Shout out to my Uncle Rodney. You did me real dirty, man. I ain't been right since. Late night Taco Bell runs. When the last time somebody ate some Taco Bell? Ugh.
Somebody's eating Taco Bell because they are around.
Ugh,
Somebody's
right.
eating them. And that's fine
Taco Bell.
for them.
Yeah, Taco Bell.
It is fine.
Yuck. Yeah,
Okay.
but I would, a mean Coca-Cola with a good meal.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, if I can get the one that says Hecho en Mexico.
In Mexico.
Yeah, that's.
You want the bottle.
Yeah.
You want the glass bottle. Got it.
I want the one that's going to put some hair on your chest. Like when you drink it, your eyes water up and well up just a little bit, and you're just like, that's some good stuff right there. Hit this, dog. Other than that, I don't really have a main drink. You know what I mean? I'm not a drinker, so I guess that's all you're going to really get from me.
Okay. Mark?
Water. Big water fan.
Got it.
Water every morning.
Way to play it safe, kid.
But double espresso once I get outside.
Ooh.
And then if we're outside, tequila soda.
Tequila and soda.
Yeah, tequila soda lime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Keeping it nice and lean, huh? Yeah.
And Diet Coke. I love Diet Coke.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Well,
okay. That's ultra soft, but okay. All right.
he doesn't
forgot
need
I
he
forgot-
doesn't need the sugar.
Got
That's
it.
why.
You do realize that the sugar process is a different way.
Yeah, I know.
He's a smart man.
Yeah.
But I forgot my other drink though. I forgot my club drink. If we step out, even though we don't club, but if we step out,
We be at the club, y'all.
there ain't no clubs for people who are 40.
I know.
That-
I mean,
maybe
we
that's
just
something-
go.
I still believe wholeheartedly though that should be, maybe that's a venture that could work. I just believe that people over 35 need to take their wives somewhere other than just movies or dinner, or a concert.
They do.
They should be able to take their spouse, partner, significant other out somewhere and have a good time, right?
I'm sure that people go to the
Of
club
course.
if they want to go to the
No,
club.
no, not just the club, but I want it to be specific. It should be because you're not going to listen. You're not listening to what DJs is getting hired to play over 40 music. Not many. So I'd imagine that there probably aren't a lot of clubs.
I think that we don't know enough about that to
Listen,
discuss it.
If there were spots to go to, I'm pretty sure we would have somebody that told us, "Hey, this spot will work for you guys." We don't hear that. Clubs are not.
We don't ask either.
Yeah, I have.
You
because
have?
I try to take you places. So I have. And dudes is like, nah.
But there's lounges and things that you can go to, and they have different types of, I don't call them themes, but like it's this kind of vibe or this kind of, and so you get in wherever you fit in. It's not really by age, it's by,
I'm
like
talking
what
about
vibe
something specific. I'm talking about a
lean
specific place
to.
that you can go to with a certain vibe, certain feel. Maybe that's something that somebody should invest in. I think there's enough of us out there. It ain't gonna be no violence. We too old. You got to be home by 10:30.
Oh,
so if you gonna murk somebody, you got to happen by about 9:45.
So the club need to open at 6.
Yeah, we sound
So
old.
we can get home by 9:30.
Trying to get home by 9:45.
Get under them covers, okay?
Doors open at 5.
That's what I'm talking about.
Doors open at 5. It's nasty work.
Wait, that doesn't sound bad at all.
Wait, so hold on. Are we going out? Are we going out or is it happy hour? Right?
Listen.
It runs into each other.
I mean, on a Saturday, let's do it.
Oh, that would be funny. That
Yeah.
would be funny. So I guess if we're stepping out, what do I get? Ginger ale and
I
cranberry
was about
juice.
to say, it's
Ginger ale and cranberry juice with a tiny straw. You know what I mean?
So
And I
it looks
hold
like
on-
he's drinking a mixed drink.
Yeah, and I hold on to that sucker all night long. All
Just
night long.
flat.
Don't laugh at me, bro.
I'm
Don't
not.
laugh at me.
I promise I'm not
Don't laugh at me. There's our drinks.
Yeah.
There's our drinks. Oh, that would be funny. That would be real funny.
What?
Just thinking about having an after hours spot that's not really after hours. It's kind of like before hours, right?
Yeah. I mean, if they just opened up a little earlier for us.
Right. And someone who's listening right now or watching is probably saying, yeah, it's called a restaurant, buddy. it's
I mean, if you go to the John and Vinny's, they play their music loud enough.
That's the spot. It's all fun and games until somebody gets up and starts cutting the rug, right?
Right.
Next thing you know, they're like, you know what? Let's open that patio.
Why not?
John and Vinny's, if you're listening, I need a piece of it. I suggested it.
Right.
Check payable
It's a
too.
good idea, y'all.
It's a good idea. Good idea. So, all right, shoot it straight.
Shoot it straight.
My favorite segment.
Yep.
Or one of my favorite segments.
Yeah.
All right. It's a segment where we talk about some interesting things that have happened in this world. Kind of a flyover, if you will, where we can, discuss a few things, give our opinions, and then, move on.
Yep.
Not too deep, but we have a good time with it. Mm-hmm. Copy?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yes.
Lista? I know
Estoy
you've been taking
lista.
your Spanish lessons.
Estoy lista.
Estoy lista.
Mm-hmm.
How you doing with your Spanish lessons?
Well, I told you I just bombed a class on the way here. I failed and had to watch a whole bunch of ads so that I could get in, but I redeemed myself because now I'm at a perfect score.
Okay.
Duolingo.
Yeah,
go.
but you also take real classes.
I do. Actually, my tutor just canceled
She's going through
for
something. huh?
tomorrow. Yeah, it's
That's all right.
been kind of wild.
Yeah, we praying for her and her
Yeah,
family.
family. Yeah.
Where's she at? What country she out of?
So I have a tutor. She's in Argentina.
Okay.
Her name is Lillian. She's my pen pal. And she's usually been on it. We've been working together for almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in July. And just recently,
It's been 3 years?
It's been almost 3 years. It'll be 3 years in July that she and I have been working together. And this past month, her husband had like a emergency surgery of some sort. And there's just been one thing after another. So she's given me a little bit of what's going on, but as we were in our meeting early, just a little while ago, she canceled our meeting for tomorrow morning. So I will check back in with her. We be WhatsApping it.
Yeah.
So I'll check in and see how she's doing.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm putting pressure on you. You need to start speaking Spanish in the house for the kids,
Okay.
not just when you're upset. Ay, señor madre, and it's not good. Ay, señor, is not enough.
Okay.
I think if you expose the kids, because we heard our daughter who,
Oh my gosh.
Oh, my
Tenaire.
ooh,
Tenaire. I
Ooh,
was like,
hurt your
Tenaire.
ears.
What? The ancestors.
Lazy American tongue.
Don't do that. Don't do that. Yeah, but she's doing well in Spanish. So she's
Right.
getting something.
Right, but not from where she should be getting it from. The
Okay.
source.
Okay.
Just speak it.
All right, Morales family.
Speaky.
No es piqui.
No es piqui
No es piqui.
en la casa.
Spanish.
No, that's wrong. All right. But shoot it straight.
Yeah.
Let's jump right into it.
Okay.
Let's start with something real light. Something really, really light. You ready?
Yeah.
So a little research here. Once again, edutainment. Edutainment is what we're about, right?
Okay.
Now, we're from a beautiful place in New England called Connecticut. All right. Hartford, to be specific. In my head, I think I've shared this with you a few times. So, Mark, I'm telling you, you know how you remember things and you wonder, like, in your head when you're remembering something, it has colors. You know what I mean? It has smells, nostalgia. You know what I mean? It gets the
olfactory sense,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. Say it again.
Olfactory.
Look, you are so smart.
Sometimes.
So smart.
That's the smell.
Okay.
Your sense of smell.
All right.
Okay.
But when you do this, you remember things. And I've always thought about Connecticut. And I was like, yeah, why is it that when I remember Connecticut, it's very rare that I remember it being sunny.
Right.
I always remember it being gray.
Kind of gloomy.
Kind of gloomy, you know what I mean? And I'm like, why is that? Am I tripping? And something prompted me to hit Google. So I went to Google and I, typed in Connecticut weather. How many sunny days do you get? And it popped right up. AI overview, right? AI overview. So in Hartford, Connecticut, less than 100 days of full sunny days, 82 on average, to be specific.
Out of 365.
Out of 365 days, you're getting 82 days of sun. Whoa, that's not enough for us.
No.
And I think that's why one of the reasons we got out of Dodge, even though we love the beautiful
home.
860 in Central Connecticut, to be specific. But man, I'm so grateful that we get out here and get about 355.
And I have attitudes about them 10 days. That we have rain. So you bring that up, and I think two things.
Yeah.
So first thing, right before we got married on a Friday. It rained nonstop for 13 days.
And we were stressed out.
We were so stressed.
Right.
Please don't rain. Our wedding was not outside, so really probably wouldn't have mattered, but I didn't want rain. I'm sure you don't want.
Messes everything up,
It
though.
just does. Like, we got to take our pictures. We got to do certain things. So anyway, it did not rain.
Thank God.
It did not rain on our wedding day. It didn't rain. I think it might have in the morning, maybe. But I do remember the overcast all day. And I remember it being humid.
Yeah, real humid. I do. I remember that.
Right? Remember it?
I remember that.
And so that when you brought that up, that was my first thought. Like, it rained nonstop. Like, and we typically get like a day or two in between, right? And it had rained nonstop. Second thing that I thought about was the first time that I visited Southern California. I came out to LA to visit my friends. And I remember it being February. And it was 60 degrees or so. And I remember thinking, my goodness, this 60 degrees and this sun is like equivalent to 85
For
degrees.
us, right.
It didn't make sense to me that it was just 60 degrees because that sun was just beaming in a way that felt so unfamiliar. This was the first time getting to LA, And so thinking about that, I remember, well, you know this, I'll tell the people. When I came out here for that visit, I ended up extending my trip. And I extended it because I was like, I need to find a job. I can teach anywhere. I need this sun.
Yeah.
That weather, as much as I love being there, I didn't love being in Connecticut. Let me not tell a lie. As much as I love the people that are there, I absolutely cannot. I can't stay here. There is something special happening in LA, and it's
I'm not supposed to be here.
Not supposed to be here. Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not. This is not. Yeah, I understand.
So, anywho, So when you say that, I'm not surprised, but I'm like, dang, only 82.
Only 82.
I'm rooting for it to have more.
Only 82. Right.
But I mean, think about it. All summer, typically, right? It might be sunny and then
you're waiting for
crash out. It's going to rain. There's thunderstorm happening. That's typical.
Now we get, of course we get cleaner air and it's beautiful to see the greenery and, all four seasons and the leaves fall.
Four seasons are a little overrated.
The four
Not
seasons?
going to lie to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
I'm good. I love where I'm from. It made us tough. It made us rugged.
It did.
Yep.
Those winters,
Absolutely.
brutal.
Getting up in the morning and then having to clean off. Wait, start your car first, right? Start the car first. Turn it. You blast it as high as you can, but make sure you put on the defrost.
Yep.
So both the front and the rear
And
can
the back
start
to defrost the snow.
And then you reach into the back seat and you get that cleaner.
The
Yep.
scraper.
The scraper. You start
The brush,
scraping.
the scraper,
Because you got to
yep.
get the ice off first
First.
before you can, wipe off the snow.
I mean, you could wipe off the snow,
But
but,
then
it
there's
means
ice under there.
nothing if that ice is not broken. That layer of ice isn't broken.
Right. So you got to get that
Yeah.
going. Right. You got to get that going and endure how cold it is out there. And then if you're a smart person, you know what I mean? Not lazy, rather, you got to get the top too. Because if you don't get the top, you're going to disrespect somebody who's driving
Or
behind
you will pay for it at the
Right.
stoplight because it's
Or-
gonna come and surprise. Oh,
Right.
shoot.
Or somebody behind, it'll go backwards.
Yep.
And somebody behind you is cussing you all the
The
way
way
out.
out. Yeah,
Man, I don't miss it, but it made us tough.
it did.
Because when you walk out that house, once again, the power of intentionality. You mean to leave. I got to go somewhere. You got to fight to get everywhere.
Yep.
Right? Man, I remember as a basketball player too. Remember I told you this story? Like when you're a hooper, Mark, like when you're a hooper, you're looking for your games. You're playing travel ball or whatever on the weekends. And you the way I was, by Thursday night, I can't sleep. I can't sleep. I already got my uniform laid out. I got my Jordans set right next to it with my socks, the double socks. And it's like Friday night, you hear it start to snow, you hear it's coming. And then Saturday morning you wake up and you see, they're going to cancel the game. I was like, I hate this.
Yeah.
I hate this.
Lots of room for change and yes, in the schedule, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Yep, I get it.
But once again, being from
It
where
made
we're
us.
from, it made us a little more rugged, a little tougher.
Yep.
All right. Okay. So there's that. 82 days, y'all. Oh, I'm sorry. And in Bridgeport, the Bridgeport area, they get about 99.
Oh, that's nice.
About
They're
99.
further south.
Yeah, right. So
Got
they get
it.
about 99.
Okay.
Okay. So, I had to say something about this as a basketball coach, as a guy who's been both a girls coach and a boys coach.
Yep.
So it kind of hit kind of close to home. High school basketball coach fired for pulling the girls' hair following a state championship game in upstate New York. Northville High School, I believe is what it's called. Northville. But this gentleman, an older gentleman, took it upon himself. I believe that the young lady was kind of being a knucklehead. She's crying, she's emotional, she doesn't want to shake hands. I'm not sure of the story. But either way, he's trying to get her in line, show some respect, show some discipline. You got to shake hands, you got to play the part while they give out the medals. So I'm assuming that she's in line and emotional while watching the other team, get their medals and whatever. She's probably being a knucklehead. But either way, you see him clearly reach and try to get her attention and pull her back in line. He grabs her ponytail and yanks her back. And I'm just like, oh, no. Like, oh, no.
All bad.
And everything went through my head. First of all, as a coach, you know what I mean? You're emotional because you put at least I do. You put forth a lot of effort into being a coach. From scouting, practice plans, everything that you're running, all of this stuff that goes along with like running a small business, basically.
Okay.
You're like the CEO of a company. And of course, you're still dealing with 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old kids who are kids. They're still developing. They're still little, and they're still not little, but they're young. You know what I mean? And it's tough because
There's still room for growth.
Yeah, you love them, and
Yeah.
they're so unfinished.
Right.
And you're a part of the process of helping them become developmentally more sound.
Right.
More emotionally stable, physically, more empowering, and all of these different things. And to see him grab her by her ponytail, a lot went through my mind. First of all, what are you doing? Putting your hands on your player, 1, a young woman, 2, somebody else's child, 3. You know what I mean? And of course, I'll throw in the idea of her being a black girl. Imagine that. Imagine if she had a piece that she had on, and he pulled that piece out.
You've got to be culturally aware.
You got to be culturally aware. Now, it wasn't the case here. But if you do that, you could have a problem. Second of all, I'm thinking
you
to
have
myself,
a problem regardless.
Right.
Regardless. Now, I don't mean like in terms of the child being black or white.
Right.
I mean, I'm just saying like in general.
Right.
like you
Right.
got a black child.
Right. Yeah.
There's somebody attached to said child.
And in my head, I'm saying to myself, somebody's seen this. I mean, obviously somebody caught it on camera.
Right.
But someone's seen this. And I'm like, there's got to be a dad that had to get held back. There had to be a mother who had to be held back, and a cousin, uncle. This is a state championship game. So people are there. You know what I mean? So to pull this stunt in front of all of these people, you really got to be tripping. You really, really got to be tripping, right? And then I'm just like, that's also assault. You know what I mean? You can't do that. And I am a very emotional coach, and I'm very impassioned. You know what I mean? Passionate about what I do. And in the heat of the moment, even when I lost my stuff, you know what I mean? It was never on a child.
Right.
Like, I would never, ever take it there. That's just outlandish. But, so he's out of line. They fired him. I think they would be...
This isn't the old coach, correct?
Nah.
Okay.
But I do believe that they'll get off... They'd be getting off real easy if it's just them having to fire him.
Right.
But I believe that if those parents were there and they're smart, I guarantee you they're going to get... The school's going to have to endure some litigation, right? Some type of legal... something is coming, you know, on that family's behalf. I thought it was out of line. I thought it was in poor taste and poor judgment. And even with her we all got knucklehead kids. I mean, this is part of the gig, bro.
You anticipate that.
You got to anticipate that, right? But moreover, the thing that caught me, and the thing that I will always, when I watch it, because I keep watching it, because you get mad as a parent, I get mad as a coach, I get mad as an administrator, I get mad as, like, I put myself in everyone's shoes as I seen this, right? But I also was thinking to myself, like, oh my goodness, like, that young lady standing next to her, she held her down. You see her pointing to the coach like, yo, you don't do that. Like, you don't do that. And she's probably, once again, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, in her right mind, probably reeling from, the effects of a loss. This is a state championship game. Nobody goes to this game thinking they're going to lose the game, right?
Right.
So, but this young lady had the presence of mind to kind of hold her friend down. I really appreciated that from the young lady standing to the right of her.
Good. That's a level of maturity that we don't often see.
Yeah.
I think I must have read up on a different story, but all good, because what I keep coming up with in regards to this story is just like my days of being coached and my interaction that was inappropriate with a coach. I don't know if you remember that, but
Do tell.
so
Please do tell.
I was a cheerleader in high school.
Boom, dynamite. Boom, boom, dynamite. We got it. You know it. You got it. Show it. Tick, 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 tick. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that was one of the favorite
Yeah, Mark,
cheers.
that was one of our favorites. I'm serious. We used to get in trouble for dancing. The ball players. That was our joint. Tick, 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 tick. Boom, dynamite. Boom, boom, dynamite.
Yes. So, okay. So we went through a flood of coaches after it was our freshman year, and our coach that had been a coach for like years, she decided to retire, and she just was ready to move on. And so she only did half the season and then ended up leaving. And so we went through a series, or like there were several people who tried to fill that space. And one in particular, we were just getting like I don't even know what you want to call these people, but it was really tough. So one of them, she was a teacher. She seemed promising. She had a cheer background, all of the things. But she was a little feisty. She was a little feisty, and she sometimes forgot that she was supposed to be the adult in the space. And so I was captain at the time, and
Let's go.
so there were some things that I just didn't agree with. Like, oh, we're going to let so-and-so play or cheer, but she hasn't been in practice all week. Or, things that I was just like, okay, that's not okay. And I took cheerleading really seriously.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I remember we're at a game, football game. I don't remember what teams or whatever. We were losing. No offense to y'all. But so we're at the game, and there were say there were 8 of us cheering. There were only 4 of us actually doing the cheers.
Got it.
Okay. So the others were having a conversation, like a comical conversation with the coach. And for me, that is like so unethical. Like, what are we doing right now? We're supposed to be in the game. We're supposed to be, we have a role.
Oh, you used the right word, unethical too.
It was just not, none of it felt right. Like, what are you teaching here, coach? And why am I as a child having to then like point that out? So anyway, I said something to her. I said something to the coach. I was like, hey, could you get them back in line? Remember, I'm the captain. So I'm like, said something. And she felt like I was out of place for that.
Better watch your mouth.
See, so the thing is, like with me, I'm big on like following rules. I'm big on like integrity. I'm big on certain things. And so I heard her and was just like, right, but we have something that we're supposed to be doing right now. And so as much as I think it would be great if y'all could just like chit chat or whatever, could you do that afterwards? And I said something like that to her. She proceeded to tell some of the girls that she was chit chatting with that I was a B. And I heard her. I said, oh. And I remember turning around. I'll show you. I'm going to show you what a is. I'll show you. And I said that to the coach as a child. So went in on Monday, because it was a Saturday game, went in on a Monday, said something to the principal that I was like cool with. Not cool, but you know what I mean, right? Like said something to the principal. I had a good rapport with him. I had a good reputation. I was in student council. Like I was on a lot of different things. So I went to him and I was just like, and she said it in front of everybody. Everybody heard it. When she said it, it was like the record, just like the needle.
Right, I get it.
And so he was like, she did? And I said, yeah, she did. So I got rid of her. They ended up getting rid of her. I remember telling my parents about it and them being like, she really did that? But that was the extent of it. Because I was like, I got it. Don't even worry about it. Like, I'm not in phase. I only kind of like her. Like, I can't really figure out whether she's, So I'm saying that to say, like, the student that had enough like
wherewithal,
presence
of mind
to be able to step up an adult in a space where the adult fell short is like, thank you, I appreciate that, and sometimes we have to do that, and it matures us. It really does, because and you also get a little touch of humanity, like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like adults are just like grown children.
Tall kids. I heard somebody call adults tall kids.
Right. They have a whole lot of room for improvement. Not all of them, but when they show you, and it is what it is. So anyway, that's what that reminds me of. I'm sure in 2025, this was 95, so completely different time, but I'm sure in 2025, that's when it happened, correct?
Yes, it's
this season, right? Season. Yeah, so it's in this season. So I know that, my hope is that school is doing a little bit more for the
I bet
for the team. And
he wasn't a young man either, so
right.
He probably been there for a while, and something tells me it's never their first time.
No,
nothing's ever the first time.
It just got caught on video. Right. So anyhow,
let me tell you something. I double dare Cheyenne to come home
and tell you some
and tell
stuff,
me
right?
Especially a man. Put his hands on. He did what?
Right.
Shoot.
Excuse me,
man. We got bail money, right? All right.
I mean, she does have encounters with coaches and things like that.
Absolutely.
And I mean, whatever. And so sometimes she does give dialogue and say, and I have to put on my mom helmet, right?
Yep. And I put my coach's helmet on,
and we have to sift through the story sometimes, because sometimes you're just like, okay, but are you inferring? Is that your own assumption? Did you just put your own little razzle dazzle on that? Like, did that really happen that way? You really have to gauge it. Yeah. So anyway.
Yep. So there's that. Yeah. He was way out of line. He needed his head knocked off.
He was.
Like, straight up. I don't know how the father didn't get down there fast enough. I would have been falling down over people, falling down off the bleachers. Man, let me tell you something. I don't care how much of a knucklehead she is.
Right. She's still a child.
Straight up. She's a woman, too. That's not what you want to teach.
Right.
That's crazy. And
Wait, was the coach black?
Nah.
Okay.
Nah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's that. And finally, something on a lighter note.
Oh yeah, the
An
painting.
Ohio woman found a painting at a thrift store for $2.99.
Yep.
$2.99. And it ended up going to auction, and she collected about $2,879, close to $3,000 from just a nice find at a thrift store. That is just cool stuff. Now, ironically enough, it happened in Ohio.
We have Ohio jokes.
Yeah,
No
we
shade.
do.
No
yeah, we
shade.
Do. The world has Ohio jokes.
Oh yeah. Okay.
It ain't just us.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, I thought that was real interesting because I don't care how much money I make. Every now and again, I step
We go
into
right
a
to
thrift
that
store.
Goodwill.
I'll step to Goodwill. You never know what you'll find. Found some good stuff in there. Man, you kidding me?
You gonna tell the story about the microwave?
Oh, the microwave. Mm-hmm. Oh, Mark. When we first moved here, Mark, we didn't have much. Matter of fact, we darn near had nothing. And we needed a microwave. So I made my way to the thrift store on Lancashire. Yep, on Lancashire, in hopes to find a microwave. I had a budget of about $50, $60. I can find a microwave $50, $60, right?
Yep.
No.
Yes.
I think I might have paid
$20. You
$20.
paid $20
I don't
for
even
that.
think it was $20. That microwave died last year.
And it wouldn't have died,
Yep.
but our dear daughter decided that she wanted to make oodles and noodles, but not put any water in it.
Say that again.
Oodles and noodles. She wanted to make some.
We East Coast. We East Coast. I don't think nobody else says oodles and
Oh,
noodles.
sorry, ramen. My bad. Ramen. She made ramen noodles, but forgot to put the cup. You know, the one that's in the cup. So she didn't put water in it. And so this was during our remodel.
All bad.
We were living in our back the renovated unit, and one of the contractors was like, Miss Liz,
You got some smoke. Got some smoke coming from your house.
From your house. I think I was on a walk or something.
No, we were at we were looking for chairs. So we were at a store when we got the call. We were together.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. And anyway, so he got this great find. We've been in California for 13 years now.
That thing lasted.
And it became like this relic of sorts, right? So we were like, we will remodel this house and we will keep this microwave as a statement piece of where we've been, what we've been through.
Amen.
And
Preach it.
And then our dear daughter reminded us that we're parents and we probably have to coach her on this cooking thing.
Here lies the tapping. I don't even know what that is, but it was tapping.
It wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't even.
T-A-P-P-A-N.
It wasn't even a real
It wasn't like a
brand.
GE or something like that. Tapping. That thing lasted for 12 years.
And however many years it was with its first owner.
Right.
So there you go.
They don't.
$20.
They sure enough don't make things like that anymore. Yeah, that microwave,
$20.
baby. Yeah.
We lived at that Goodwill.
Are you kidding me?
We lived at that Goodwill.
I am not ashamed to let you know that I have been to a thrift store or 50.
I mean, I think this is a good segue. I don't know about you, but we're talking about money today. So maybe this is a good segue.
It is.
To just go into it.
You know what? That was silky. Milky. Cereal, baby, milky. All right. Okay. So guess what, y'all?
Yeah.
We are talking about money. Dinero, bread, cheese, guap, whatever you call it.
Lucchini.
Money. Stop. But
It keep falling from the sky.
I want you to stay in the 2000s at least.
Wait, you said cheese.
Bread?
You say
Guap?
cheese? Okay, that's all old stuff.
You about to say Lucci?
No, I said it.
Knock it off. Knock it off, please. Knock it off. Our resident slang director. That's going to be your new title.
You're so welcome.
Resident slang director.
You're so welcome.
SLD. Put it on LinkedIn. Resident SLD for Marriage for Grown Folks. Yeah, so let's talk about a little money.
Let's talk about
Talk about a little money and how it affects relationships and how it, helps us formulate what we believe money is and all of this good stuff. And there's good times and bad times, and sometimes you have it, and a lot of times you don't have it. And either way, we're all fighting for it and all that good stuff.
Right.
Let's get into it.
Let us.
All right. So we've been married for 19 years. Mm-hmm. Right? Almost 19 years. And I believe wholeheartedly that our greatest achievement has been operating in a world that is not money hungry. We are not money centric. We recognize the value of it, but we are not what you call chasing bread, chasing money. That's not what we do.
No.
All right.
Phrases like money is the motivation.
That's not our thing.
That turns me all the way off.
Yeah,
no, thank you.
It's not our thing.
No.
It's not our thing. But don't get it twisted. We understand the value.
The importance. Yeah.
Yep. We understand. We ain't shoot pool. Boy, do we got a story.
Right.
Boy, do we got a story or 10. Go ahead. Knock it out.
I was gonna ask you, so we come from different backgrounds, right?
You ain't never lied about that.
And that relationship with money is very different for both of us.
Absolutely.
Even though we grew up in the same city, on different sides, whatever, right? But went to the same public school.
Amen.
But we just have very different backgrounds and ideas of money.
Absolutely.
You use the word relationship, so I think it's fair to say that as well, right?
I think that's the perfect word.
Yes.
Perfect word.
Yeah.
Perfect word.
Do you want to start with like your relationship with money and maybe how a little bit about like your background and how it has always been like present in our marriage?
You start. You set it off. I'll follow your lead.
Okay, cool. So just thinking about like a relationship with money. Like I said, we come from two very different backgrounds. My parents, a 2-parent home. That's not different, or but I grew up with 2 working parents and pretty decent jobs. Like my mom had a state job, my dad had a city job. So we grew up in a home that they had bought, and money was just like something that we had, and we recognized that we had enough because we always had like cable and food and, but my parents were very rigid about how they spent their money. And so I grew up in a home where it was like my dad says this mantra. He still says it. Pay yourself first. Pay yourself first. So I grew up like years of like pay yourself first, but not really understanding what that meant. Yeah. No real idea. I thought of that as like you save your money. But I also knew like, oh, my parents have decent jobs. They're away and they come home and we have all of the things that we need, but we also don't do a whole lot of anything extra. Like nothing extra. I could be like, Mom, could you get me that new cereal? Yes, I got you. She will get all of the things. Okay, we're going on vacation one time every year, and we would go. Every year we'd go on vacation. But I want some sneakers. Sorry. You get some in the fall and you get some more in, around your birthday. Like that's all, because my birthday's Christmas time. So it was very like regimented how we used our money. And we came from a family. So this is my unit of family, but like everyone else would not always be so stable, but might travel or might be able to like go to a concert or do things because their parents would like splurge in those ways. And my parents were always like, yeah, absolutely not. And so we grew up, and I'm saying I'm talking my sister and I, we grew up very much like, okay, we will have to make our own money.
Right.
Because we're not getting anything extra from them.
No extracurricular
You
activity
ain't
going on with
nothing
this
extra.
bread,
You
these
better
funds.
not even. Yeah. So that really shaped how I felt about money, and I didn't realize it until we got married.
And what about the rest of the family? Was anybody affluent, wealthy, financially,
And like my
sound?
family,
Yeah.
financially sound?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Like, you mean like aunts and from what I know, no. So that was the other thing. So because my parents had 2 jobs, or they both worked, and my dad did like side gigs as well. And so there was extra money coming in, which is such, whatever. I hate that phrase.
That term is
I hate that phrase. Like, it's not extra money. It's whatever. Anyway, so no, the perception was that we had a lot more, or we were getting a lot more than I think we ever would have thought. So the outsiders thought, oh, they're living it.
Good.
And I'm like, yeah, no, I've been working since I was 13. I've been babysitting for so long to make money, to make sure,
It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
It is.
It is.
It's beautiful to me. I think that kids should work. I think,
me too.
Yeah, and just like I'm sure there's studies out there that we've read or seen or or looked on our phone and found that show that kids who have added responsibility and kids who can work a part-time job are better off in the long run for it.
Mm-hmm.
You know
I mean, my parents didn't even they let me do like babysitting things and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But when I could actually work and like make money at a job,
you got to it.
Yeah, I absolutely got to it, but they were like, you cannot do that during the week. Mm-hmm. You can work all weekend if you want.
Yeah.
But the moment your grades go down, the moment, like they set pretty strong like parameters around that. And I mean, I feel better for it.
Yeah.
But I also felt like I have some real trauma around money, because it was so like everything was just, don't ask for money. It would be such a stretch. Don't want to hear anybody. I don't want to hear anybody hemming and hawing, So, yeah, there's that. Go ahead.
Get it on your own.
Pretty much.
It pushed you to go get it on your own.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, that's righteous to me.
Absolutely.
Listen, call me old school, but that's righteous to me, man. Learn how to go get it.
Yeah. So, what about you though?
My story ain't like that.
I know.
I used to say it all the time. I thought y'all was not rich, but I was like, man,
I always had cash.
You always had cash.
Yeah.
Real talk. You always did have cash, but that's, I wasn't used to that. I mean, my family. If you want to go all the way back, I don't remember. I remember people having jobs and working, but I don't remember people in my family having a lot of extra money. And that's from a time growing up. I've been through it. I walked with my mom. I remember walking with my mom, to the state building, the state building to get them food stamps. So I've been there before. Unashamed about that. It's a part of my, how growing up. It's not a, anything behind that. But
can you give just a little bit of context? Because like you live.
So my parents divorced. Thanks for that. Yeah. My parents divorced when I was super duper young. So my father remarried early, and then moved out of state. So Pennsylvania born. But Connecticut raised for the most part.
Right.
So I would go back and forth with my family. Which is a pretty cool or interesting story, to say the least. So I would go back and forth. So I got a chance to see a lot, in regards to being a young child, my view of what it's like to work and what money means on both sides. My mother didn't have, much, if any.
Single mother.
And we didn't have much, Every now and again, she'd have a job, I wouldn't call her fiscally responsible, If she had it, she would give it. If she had it, she would give it for people who didn't have it or whatever. I don't remember, her having a vehicle or anything like that. I ain't knocking my mom's, but, I remember, and then moving back with my father, he worked a gig, My mom, I call her mom as well, my stepmother, she had a job at one point. And I remember that, I joke about it.
That Christmas?
I joke about it, but the first Christmas, Mark, that I ever I had, real talk.
That you spent with your dad?
Yeah, I spent with my pops. And my mom's at IBM. Yeah, she working at IBM.
Oh, she was a techie.
Yep. She was at IBM. Administrative assistant.
Whatever.
Yeah, and her
She was in the
game,
family.
and her typing game was crazy. Don't get it twisted. And then Pops was at Pratt and Whitney, as he affectionately calls slapping with me. So he was at Pratt and Whitney, United Technologies at the time. And I remember, it was good. It was just me, and I got like a bike. That was crazy to have a bike, I got a Voltron, a bunch of clothes and shoes. What did Cat Williams say? What the kid?
My daddy loved me.
My daddy loved me. He said, I went to the dollar store and bought my kid 100 toys. And he said the kid was so happy. He just fell asleep. My daddy loves me. My daddy loves me. But yeah, I remember that first Christmas. It was outrageous to me. I couldn't play with enough toys. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to go to sleep. Right. And then I also seen, as time went on, I went back to live with my mom. And then, I went back and forth like 4 or 5 times. 4 or 5 times. You okay? You good? Yeah, I went back and forth, between Pennsylvania and Connecticut. So I got a chance to see it. You know what I mean? To see what it looks like, to have a little bit, to not have a little bit. I've been to 13, 14 schools, which creates a definitely, something different, but I've met every person, every type of personality you can think of. But we're talking about money. And then I remember my father losing his job.
Yeah. That's
something that I will never forget. This is a man who was doing payroll. He was a payroll manager, right? And everybody loved my pops. You know what I mean? And I remember there were nights where he had to go back to work, come home at 4 or something, take care of a little business and having to go back. It's payroll. You can't leave till people get their money.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can't leave till people get their benefits, their benefits package and so on and so forth. Because back in the day, they were doing that stuff by hand. There was no software that did it for you. And here's the formula for how many years you've been here and your severance package and all that stuff. So, watching him go through that, hardworking man, you know what I mean? Also, taking care of the church because, he was a minister at the time.
Right.
So he, spent his time doing that. And but I do remember specifically the day that he lost his gig and coming home from school as a middle schooler. I think I might have been in, I was 6, maybe in 6th grade, whatever it was. But I remember distinctively walking through the door saying, "Hey, Pop, like, why is he here?
Why are you here?
Like, why is he here?"
That's always scary, right?
And his back is sitting to me.
Who died?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But his back is sitting to me. So I kind of walk towards him. He doesn't even look to say, "Hey, son." Let me do my father's voice. "Hey, son." He didn't even give me that. So I kind of got a little closer, and I'm like, "Yo, man, like,
you good?
Hey, man, you good? Like, why you home?" He like, "I got a pink slip." I'm 11, 12 years old. I'm like, "Is that different than a blue, green, orange slip?"
You're going to have to give me some details.
Yeah, you got to give me some details. Yeah. Well, he didn't.
Okay.
And now as a grown man, I realize why he didn't. Because that man was sitting there hurting.
Yeah.
That man has a family. Right? That man has bills. And if I'm not mistaken, I think my mom might have been pregnant.
Oh.
I could be wrong. I could be right. But either way, as a man, I'm like, oh, now I know. Like, that's why he was sitting there. And I knew better than a follow-up. I just kind of kept it moving. Like, let me go ahead and get this snack and get in the room.
He's going to tell me something maybe later.
Right. Maybe he'll talk a little later. But I know right now he's not feeling good. Only to find out that a pink slip means you've been let go.
Yeah.
Right? That you didn't do anything wrong. You've been downsized. Right? And I'm saying, after all the time that he put in, that's crazy. But this happens all the time. It's part of the game. Right? And we went through some tough times, man. Went through some tough times. Really, really, really tough times. Moving to different places. There's 4 of us. No, 5 of us. 5. And I remember there were times where we didn't have a lot. And then at a certain point, as you know, he started the church. That was his conviction. And although there are all of these stories about these pastors who live these lavish lives and have all these nice vehicles and homes and so on and so forth, and for some reason it feels like black people don't like to have other black people let black people make money. That's weird to me. Yeah. Because I guess I'm a little sensitive. Because my father.
Because y'all did a whole lot of years.
Yeah.
Not
having.
Yeah.
Yeah, but my pops. I kind of have some background to that. And there were years where we didn't have, where he made sure that everyone else had. You know what I mean? Because he was convicted that he should be doing his what he's supposed to be doing for his faith and for his church and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I'm saying to myself, although he didn't have 3 luxury vehicles, big homes and blah, 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 and all of these different things, I was like, funerals, weddings, counseling, people calling the house all times of day and night.
With family crisis or whatever.
Yeah, all of these different things. He also has his family as well. And I'm like, in the real world, what does a psychiatrist make? In the real world, what do funeral directors make? In the real world, what do orators and speakers make when they do these things? Interesting. How some people believe that it's not right for some of these pastors, preachers, and clergy to live a life that would, whatever. But we went through it.
And your dad planted that entrepreneurial seed.
Wow.
In the process of all of that.
I never even thought about it like that.
Well, I'm your wife. So thinking about that, right? And thinking about how, because we if we fast forward, but I don't want to get off track because I want us to talk kind of about who we are in like regards to the money gurus and things like that. I would love to talk about that stuff because it makes me.
Let's segue it then. So there's our background.
Yeah,
I don't come from, so to answer the question, I don't come from much. I don't really know anybody in my family who was affluent or wealthy and handed stuff down and all these different things and was fiscally responsible and knew about investments and all these things that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Okay. Yeah. So we come from 2 different spaces, and I think because of it, it's created this different type of relationship. And so I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna talk a little bit about what people's relationships typically look like according to. This is not my stuff. I read a lot of money books because it's stuff. I know
you're gonna talk about Ramsey because that's your guy.
I am gonna talk about. I might talk about Ramsey. I'm gonna talk about someone else right now. So his name is Ramit Sethi. Okay. So he's like the funny
Ramit.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's the kind of funny guy. He wrote a book that I've read a billion times. It's I Will Teach You to Be Rich. Black covered. Yes. Yep. I have a picture of it because it sits on my nightstand or on my dresser, along with some other books, right? So he says, I was just reading one of his books. It's Money for Couples. Okay. And he talks about the 4 different relation types. And so this book is specifically about money for couples. Okay.
Yeah.
So he says
Break it down, sister.
There's 4 types of people in relationships. Okay. And so much when it's a couple, when you're dealing with money, right, there has to be some cohesion.
Okay.
And so depending on your relationship, that really impacts how y'all move forward with your money. Okay. So first type is the avoider. Second type is the optimist. Third type is the, I knew it by heart. So the optimizer, the worrier, and then the dreamer.
Did you say warrior or warrior?
Warrior. The warrior. So sorry, let me relist that. The avoider, the optimizer, the worrier, and the dreamer. Okay? So I read the book. I was supposed to read it with you.
Okay.
But I didn't.
Yeah.
I want you to guess who or what type you are.
Right now, I'm the dreamer.
Yes.
But I bet you.
No, babe, you've always been a dreamer.
Yeah, but all of those things, I can see myself in a situation. I can see it now. Now I can see all of it.
I bet. Yep, absolutely.
I've been a worrier, big time.
You have.
Did you not hear my soliloquy this morning about going on vacation? Did you miss that?
No,
I didn't. Were you not
didn't.
there when I talked about this whole idea of, hey fam, I'm not on vacation. We keep having these conversations about going on vacation. I'm like, it ain't vacation time. I don't think I've earned a vacation. And you're like, dude,
you earned a vacation.
Bro, chill.
You've definitely earned a vacation. Okay, fine.
Okay, all right.
Fine. Yes. So, yes, I guess I could see you in a season being any one of those 4.
Right. But for the most part.
For the most part, who are you?
I'm the dreamer.
You are the dreamer.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Dreamer. That's common.
Okay, I was like, I don't know that one. Yeah. Okay, it's fine. And so where do you think I fall?
Ha! 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 W-O.
Yep.
R-R.
Yep.
I-E. Aura.
Aura. Got it. Yes, I am absolutely a worrier and an optimizer. So I am both. Here's why.
I'm not going to fight you because you're giving some really good information.
Okay.
But the optimizer,
I'm the person.
Explain the optimizer for me.
I'm about to. So, all right. So the optimizer is the type of person who is always looking for an opportunity to grow the nest egg.
Okay.
They're always looking for the opportunity to make more money. They're always looking they often are looking for opportunities to create something that is going to somehow benefit them or their money, specifically in terms of like their money.
I would say that we're both living in that space right now.
Yes, right now.
We're living in that space. Would you care to give a little background as to what? No, because you're getting good with it. This 4 stuff is good. I'm so interested right now.
Okay, so avoiders are, like the name says, an avoider is someone who. What happened?
It just feels like this might hit me.
Yeah.
Okay. So an avoider is the person who doesn't like to talk about money, assumes like things are gonna be great. It's all gonna work out in the end because that is what life does. It just works itself out.
I've been there too.
Oh yes,
I've
my
been there
friend.
too.
I'm sitting in a room of avoiders. Mark is like, me too.
I've
Sign
been
me
there.
up. That's me right there.
I've been all 4.
Yes. So I have never been an avoider. I have never been excuse me.
Says the bank teller, the former bank teller.
Who could not ever balance out? Okay, I was like the worst bank teller ever.
But yet you are running you're the COO.
I am better now.
The CFO of our company.
Yes.
Oh dear. Oh, we might be in some trouble.
We are not in trouble, y'all. We are not in trouble. So so that's the avoider.
Lord. Oh Lord, help us, please.
So the avoider is just that. It's a person who, like, in a relationship is like, you got it covered. So you can kind of be an avoider too, baby. Yeah. Right? Like, I trust you to handle that. But then they're the person that's just like, but wait. No, so not the avoider. The avoider makes it harder for the worrier or the optimizer to to help out with bills. Mm-hmm. The mental strain of bills and things like that, right? Okay, fine. So then we have the worrier. That's me. Mm-hmm. You're always worried about money, right? Like, you're always concerned that are we going to collapse? Are we going to lose all of our things? Are we going to have to start from square one? Can I trust that what decisions we're making are going to be okay for the long run? Like, those are things that we're comfortable. We can have,
like, is the bottom going to fall out?
Yes.
And then oh my goodness, is the bottom going to fall out? Mm-hmm. All right, what restaurant we going to? Where we going to eat tonight, baby?
So now we judging.
Huh?
Huh?
What does Steve Harvey say?
Huh?
What was that? What?
Huh? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
No.
Okay.
No. No entiendes?
No.
Español? Speaky?
No entiendo.
Oh.
No.
Interesante. No, this is good stuff, though.
Okay, so then the dreamer is just that. Get rich schemes.
Get rich or die trying.
That too.
You eat what you hunt.
Absolutely. So all of those things, okay?
Yeah, Mark, you see that?
Yes, please get that face. Because that is him. Yes, right? Whew. Woosah. But the dreamer is just that, right? The person who has ideas and has drive and has passion and has all of that, but really is like, we're just gonna make a whole lot of money.
I know some people like that.
Yes. And there is some truth in that, okay? And so one of the things that I've learned, this is my own synthesis, right? Is that we can worry about these things, and some of that comes from, again, our relationships in the past, what we bring into our relationship, right? But if we don't have a dreamer, like, coupled with a worrier
and an optimizer,
then
The one thing
there is something
yeah.
to be
Yeah.
to be gained from all of these relationships.
It's a good team. It's a good team. I think the unhealthy person, if we're talking, I see what you just spoke of, the 4. I see it like Inside Out, the movie Inside Out.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah,
I
yeah.
can see,
Oh,
I can
such a
picture
good connection.
4 different entities inside of this, of this movie, this financial movie,
Yeah.
so to speak, or this relationship. And you got these 4, but the one person that messes everything up is the worrier. The warrior messes everything else
Wait.
fits.
Why the worry you got to mess everything up?
Did you
though?
remember the movie Inside Out? There was that one.
There was some sort of redeeming quality of the warrior, though. It wasn't there.
Yeah, I mean, we can make no. I get what you're saying, but
Okay.
I totally understand how
Okay,
they all
okay,
go
okay.
together. But the worry part also lends itself to being the faithless part, because you can't say one thing and be about the other.
Right.
The optimizer, get it. You know what I mean? The worry, I understand too.
Right.
And my only pushback, because we're having a conversation, is that warrior, you know what I mean? If we got a team of people, you worried about it, fam? I'm not putting you in the game, Mr. Warrior. You know what I mean? Because we got the optimizer out here. We got the dreamer out here, and we got the avoider out here.
Seats taken.
Even the avoider can be dragged. You drag the avoider, like, you gonna come with me. But the warrior, it's like, yo, we gonna
slowing
win
us
this
down.
game. Calm down. Will you knock it off? You making everybody, you stressing everybody else out.
Right.
You just got to tell the avoider to come to practice. Just come to practice. Somebody pick the avoider up. Yo, I can't. My mom's sick.
Be there in 5.
I'll be there in 5 minutes.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's the dreamer. You know what I mean? Optimize. No, that's the optimizer picking the warrior, the avoider up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then you got the dreamer. He already in the gym shooting early. He's getting his shots up. You know what I mean?
Because dreamers already know
They
that it
believe.
is written.
Yeah, it is written.
Yes,
right?
it is written.
So everybody plays a part. You know what I mean? And then you got this warrior. You're just like, dog, what is your deal? You bringing me down.
I feel like you going at me
I'm not. But
from
if you
behind
feel
the
it,
scenes conversations that
are
we
you
done had.
convicted? Do you feel convicted right now?
I'm about to get saved.
Hey.
I'm about to get saved
Lord.
right
Yes, Lord.
now.
Yes, Lord.
I'm changing my ways,
Changing
y'all.
my ways.
I'm changing my ways.
Oh my
Yes.
goodness, that is so good. I didn't. Was that on the notes?
Yes.
I must have skipped that part because that's really, really
My
good.
God. Okay.
That's really, really good.
Thank
Now,
you.
You said something earlier.
Yeah.
And Mark, that's good. That is good stuff.
Okay.
We should pay. You should pay for that.
I should pay for it?
No,
Well, okay.
no. The viewers at some point.
Oh,
if this stuff's
oh.
gonna be good.
Oh,
Yeah.
read the book.
What book is it?
It's Ramit Sethi. Money for Couples. Blue cover, gold writing. He's awesome. He's on Hulu.
Yep.
He's on Hulu. He's got specials. He's a funny guy. He's got great podcasts. I love him. I got a bunch of other people, but
Yeah.
he's one of my
Say his
favorites.
name
That
one more
I'm
again.
Ramit Sethi.
Yeah. That's
My book
hey.
coming tomorrow.
Yeah.
My book coming tomorrow.
You're right. He already's.
Oh, do you?
Yep.
Oh, did you? Oh,
See?
awesome.
See?
Okay.
Edutainment.
Y'all are welcome.
Edutainment.
Y'all are welcome. Okay.
Yeah,
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think that's a very good segue because I believe all of these things, the optimizer, the warrior, the warrior.
Can we talk a little bit about our thing?
Yes. But I
Okay.
think all 4 of them come from somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
They come from somewhere. What were you about to say? Sorry.
I was just gonna talk about how we've talked a little bit about our struggles financially when we first moved here, and we could get into that, but I don't know if that's totally relevant to what we were just talking
It's
about.
not. It's not yet. I think we got to paint the picture.
Right. Okay.
So let's put that together. Now,
Okay.
you got
I'll follow
these
your
4
lead.
things. These 4 things that you talked about, which I'm so excited about. Now you got me wanting to read it, even though,
He doesn't like money books.
I don't. Matter of fact, I got the, what's my guys? Earn Your Leisure, the EYL book. Shout out to Earn Your Leisure. You know what I mean? Read that book.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. I think that's called You Deserve.
Mark's like-
Yeah, You Deserve to Be Rich.
Yeah.
That's EYL.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They teach it from a perspective of where we from. You know what I mean? 2 smart black brothers from around the way, New York to be specific, and I love them. But even as I got into that book, and they tell the story like very, very down to earth. This person leading this type of life, and she's got this, and she's got that, and she works this job. Great. I'm just like, I'm not a money book guy.
No.
I think because I am stuck in dreamer world at times, and right now, optimizer world.
Right.
Yeah. So it's like I move at my own speed. But we talked about these 4 people, and I think these 4 people are birthed, just like the movie Inside Out, from something that happens, whether it's trauma or a bad memory. And for those of you who are out there who are listening to this, we are learning now, because there's so many therapeutic words out there, not everything is trauma. Some things are just bad memories. Knock it off. Knock it off. All right? But nonetheless, there was a moment, and you talked about this, because I worked since I was 13 as well. First summer job, Hartford, Connecticut. Governor Lowell Weicker released these funds to us.
That was summer work, yes.
Yeah, summer work for us. And that was a huge deal. You had to qualify, which means you had to make no money. All right. I got put on. My cousin Lynette, shout out to cousin Lynette, who put me on, got me in the door, took that summer job, and I was happy to make, what were we making? What were we making?
I don't know.
It could have been more than $5.
We said like almost $5 maybe.
Could have been more, $4 or $5 an hour.
Minimum wage at the time was $4.15 for everybody. This is in 96.
Making what? What was that? What was minimum wage?
$4.15.
Ooh, I thought you said
minimum wage at the time. I remember that because I remember getting an increase and being like, word.
$4.75.
I'm almost at $5.
Hey,
okay.
Big money.
Yeah. So I'm assuming the summer staff, we were probably getting like 15, 20 hours. We were making probably somewhere between $4 and maybe $4.50, maybe. Who knows?
And I was so grateful to have that job. It
Run
turned
me my
on,
money.
Run me that
it.
bread. But no,
Yes.
it was the ability to be freedom, that liberation. Hop on a bus, get up in the morning, shoot across the city, 2 buses or 3 buses, whatever it was, get able to make this little bit of money, put me in a summer camp, a basketball camp, which is ironic because I ended up, improving my chops at this camp. But nonetheless, that was when I had my first piece of money bad memory. I won't say trauma.
Okay.
Right?
Talk about it.
So my pops had a couple of accounts with Fleet Bank when Fleet Bank was a thing. They are no longer.
They're Bank of America now.
Bank of America. All right. They got bought out probably by somebody else who bought somebody else out.
Fine.
But it was Fleet at the time. I'm showing my age, right?
Okay.
But I remember opening an account with them. And my father was with me, and I remember it was a big deal to open this account and put this $117 or whatever it was in the bank. My father was big. You gotta pay your tithes, son. You gotta, pay. Your father's saying pay yourself first. My pops is saying pay your tithes. Right.
There you go.
So there's
read between the lines, y'all.
Right. So I remember going in there and doing this, and all through the summer, I'll get my check. You know what I mean? Pay my tithes, take some money for myself, and then I was stashing because, I was trying to be fly for the school year and have money to be able to get myself through and have some lunch and, get Subway. That was a big deal to be to get Subway and not eat that nasty lunch.
Basketball season lasts forever.
Yeah.
It felt like. Anyway, go
ahead.
But
it was freedom. You know what I mean? To have some money in my pocket. And I remember going in there to take my money. We might have been going to New York to go shopping. It was a big deal to go to New York to go shopping. I don't know if Aunt Stacy was taking me or whoever, but I'm going to get my money.
Okay.
And I went to get my bread, my cheese, whatever you want to call it, and it was $74 short.
Eek.
And they told me they couldn't find it. That don't work for me. You can't tell a 13-year-old boy who's working his behind off at his first job that you lost his money. Now, I'm ignorant. Never have had any fiscal education, any money talk, right? You make it and you want to spend it on something. Ignorant, young. You know what I mean? Wet behind the ears, right? And that hurt me to know that an institution this big could lose money because I know I didn't take the money out. Right. Believe me, I knew where my money was.
You knew how much you had.
Every stinking penny.
Right.
Right? So long story short, I caused the scene. The clerk that had opened the account who knew my pops, I'm like, you got to call him and you got to make something work right now because I'm not walking out of here without my money.
Right.
Like straight up, we're not doing that. Copy? So I did get my $74. As an adult now, I don't know whether or not that was because there was some type of fees or something associated with that I didn't know. But
$74
I'm too young.
worth?
$74 worth of
on a savings account?
That's what I'm saying.
Because it wasn't like we
Right.
had debits and stuff
That's
like
what I'm
that
saying.
at the time.
That's what I'm saying. You had to go to ATM to
and
get
you
some money
couldn't
out.
even use, as a minor, you couldn't even use a debit card or ATM
You had to
card
go-
or whatever.
You had to go in
You'd
the
have to
bank.
go to a teller at that time. Yes.
And I know I didn't overdraw. I wasn't overdrawn, nothing like
Okay.
that. But that money wasn't there. They did debit it. It took a couple weeks. But I know
So
that
now
messed with me.
tell the world
Mm-hmm.
what your relationship is like with banks.
I don't like them. I don't. Hey.
Wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't like them. I don't trust them. I'm glad you're getting some humor out of this, but it is kind of funny. I don't trust them.
No,
Go ahead,
it's-
ask the follow-up. Go ahead. I know where you're going with this. Go ahead.
So what do you do instead? So in lieu of money in a bank, what do you do?
You put my business in the street, homeboy. You put my business in the street.
I'm just kidding. I'm
put
just
my
kidding.
business- No,
I'm
no,
just
no,
kidding.
no, no, no,
I'm just
no, no.
kidding. I'm kidding.
The-
But I'm not kidding.
Okay. I still subscribe to the stash. I still subscribe to the stash. If you don't know what a stash is when you make some money. Sometimes you liquidate some of these funds and you put them somewhere where you know they're going to be. And
Liz,
it's not a
turn
bank.
around. Turn around. Turn around.
What?
Liz, turn around. That's what you would say. Turn around, Liz. Babe, I just need a couple bucks. Just turn around. I'll be right back. You hear a whole bunch of... And then he's pulling up like a floorboard or something and pulling out stacks of money.
Didn't you say something earlier about judgment? You said something earlier about judgment. And here we are. Here we are.
So I have a little story. So he was overseas. This was during the stint when Cheyenne and I were still in Connecticut, and he went to England. And I was like, babe, I need a couple bucks for such and such, yada, yada, whatever, right?
I know where you're going.
He's like, okay. Oh, okay. You need a couple bucks? And I'm thinking he's like, I'll send you some money. He's like, okay, give me a second. He needed to think. Okay, I want you to look at the picture, our wedding picture or something like that. And I'm like, I don't want to look at a wedding picture right now. He's like, you don't need to look at it. I need you to pull it open. Pull it open. What is there? $200 just folded up underneath the frame. Is that enough? Will that help you till I can get you some more money?
She could care less about if it was enough. She was like, what is
Well,
going
I that was a moment where I was just like, oh wait, like he really was raised different. And I don't mean that in a
Yo, it's my mother.
it's
That's
just
my mother. That's Brenda.
we come from
That's my
two
mother. That's just
very different backgrounds.
straight up and down. Straight up and down. Matter of fact, it was just last week that we were talking, right? Random conversation at the house. Mm-hmm. And I just happened to look behind a picture, and there was an envelope. And I had no idea what this envelope was, Mark. It was $200 $200.
He has a thing about like putting $200 to just put it aside, but it just be in random spaces. You know that ain't gonna be the same spot next week. I'm like, oh my
Right, once you see it,
gosh. Once you see it, I gotta change the
I
spot.
gotta change the spot.
Like
I gotta change the spot.
we not nickel and diamond no more.
It's not about nickel and diamond. It's about the conversation that I just had with you earlier, and about the story that I just told about how these people lost my $74 when I was 13 years old. It's manifested. All right, I don't need any therapy to deal with this. I know what it is, and sometimes I do use my financial institution, but there are also times where I decide that I want to put money other places just so I know where it's at in the event that something happens that I might. Judgment.
I think
Judgment.
I think you do need therapy around that.
I don't.
Okay.
What are you talking about?
I
I'm
think you
good.
do. I think
know where
you
the
do,
money-
but
I
it's
know where the
fine.
money is
It
at.
is fine.
Did
It's
the
fine.
money help or not? Did
Okay,
the money
it was right
on time?
On time, okay? It was right on time. So, okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but that paints a picture for us, right? Because when there is enough, right? There is a level, for me, there's a level of, I can't find the word So help me, right? But there's this level of like freedom. There's a level of like,
Well,
I'm thinking of like a laundry commercial where she's like,
well, I was
putting
taught,
out a blanket.
not taught, but it's a known fact that women are built for security. Yeah, of course there might be when there's additional funding and there's a cushion, so to speak, and there's, I get it. It makes you feel that way, but what it really is security.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
I get it, and that makes you feel good. It doesn't make you feel bad, right?
No, it doesn't. But there also was like, so that's a muscle that you were building up because early in our marriage, we didn't have that type of security. We did not, like, at all, right? And so even our life now is very different from what it was
when we set off.
When we set off, we've been married almost 19 years, and the experience for the first, 14 of them? Yeah.
Before kids, we was all right.
Yeah, we were straight.
Yeah, we were straight.
We
you
weren't
can't
saving.
discount
we
those
weren't.
years.
I mean, you right. My bad.
Please don't do that.
I forgot.
Yeah.
I forgot.
We wasn't
Thank you
saving
for that.
a penny.
We weren't.
We was making it.
Listen,
and
wait a
spending
second. Yes, no. I had a 401k.
Hey, go ahead. Shout out to the 401k.
So
and
I
we
had
bought a
a
condominium.
And I still had my 401k.
Yeah, we bought a condo.
Yes.
Oh.
And I was still contributing.
Yeah, I did show up to the closing
with cash. Closing with cash. Like $4,000 in cash in an envelope. Like one of those
blue
bank, like, you know how when
deposit pouches.
And we're all like, you didn't think to make a cashier's check? Okay.
It was $42,000, $4,200. That's what it was, $4,200.
We all had we weren't married yet.
I didn't know.
We closed, for context, on our home 2 weeks before we got married.
Right.
So that was like my parents.
We wasn't shacking up.
Yes, and my parents
That's what
were
they say,
right. My parents were like, "We'll focus on like managing the wedding. We'll give you a budget. We'll cover that.
Right.
You guys invest in a home." So there's a whole lot of layers to that, but that was the deal. And so because of it, he and I were just working, trying to stacking. And we had a quick engagement. So it was like 5 months, and we spent that time just really wanting to get our money together. So he had an amount, I had an amount. And so when we went to the closing, we didn't even communicate very much. It was just like, how much money do we need? Okay, bet.
Got it.
You got it. I got it. Fine. We show up. I have a cashier's check. He's like, how much did y'all say? I got 4,000. You sitting there counting that money. And I was like, oh, I love him so much. I'm going to stick beside him.
There are people out there that are really this ignorant. I had no idea that you're supposed to.
No.
I had never had this conversation. I had never been there. I had no one who had ever I had no OG, you know what I mean, to tell me.
Ask the questions.
I didn't. I would never know to ask that question. There was an amount that was required. I showed up with the amount.
Mission completion.
Mission completion.
Right. No. So it was really interesting because we had to like adjourn the meeting.
Yeah.
And he had to go and get a cashier's check. Yeah. We're gonna pause it. Okay. You go down to the
communication saves nations, y'all. Communicate with your spouse, partner, significant other.
Fair.
Communicate.
Okay.
And don't assume anything.
Absolutely not. So okay. So we know, like, we come from humbling beginnings. I would say
humble.
I would absolutely not say my parents, they had it together, but there was no silver spoon. There was none of that. Yeah. That's not a truth of ours. And so we came into this space really having different ideas of how we did money.
Yes, ma'am. True.
Very different.
Facts. No
and
cap.
so because of that, right, we go into our marriage, literally go into our marriage at the closing. And this is like a telltale sign. We didn't realize, obviously, you don't realize it till hindsight, but we go into this situation as like,
Yeah,
I love
what's
this
wrong with your
man.
finger?
I love this man. That's all I'm saying. I absolutely love him. And we got some things to do, and that's fine, right?
So there was a red flag right out the gate.
It was yellow.
It was yellow. Red flag right out the gate.
It was yellow.
This guy's not quite savvy yet.
Right. So what has been consistent though is your
Ability to stash?
ability to stash, ability to dream, but also an ability to like make those dreams come to life.
Okay.
And so because of that, and I'm using this talking about money because sometimes that correlation really it doesn't quite align, right? We
Yeah.
have dreamers and then we have there are different types of dreamers,
Right.
but there are some that put it to action.
That execute.
Thank you.
That's the word you're looking for. Is
Yes,
execute.
they
I know
execute.
a lot of dreamers, but I know a lot of people who do not execute.
Yes. And so here we are, right? I'm a teacher. I'm in education. I'm doing the things. I've gone to school, blah, blah, blah. I'm moving through trying to whatever, like make things come together. And you, as my partner, are like, I am alongside you for this, like, and with this, but I have to do it my way. And so my background comes into play because my background is you get a job, you make sure you have the benefits and the insurance, and you make sure that you create this really nice, stable box, and you live in said box and you grow it however it is that you need to grow it. Right?
That's what we, yep.
So that was my thinking. That was that in correlation to the relationships that I have with money. And it's like every year I'm going to make a little bit more and I can put a little bit more aside and I'm doing this sinking fund for this and I'm doing this, right? And so I was doing all of those are the things that I was attempting to do. And he was working, but also trying to build
Something.
and build something, align with his dream and his purpose. And he was going to do that. And I knew that, but it took a long time in my head for it to happen. I don't know if it's a long time because
Right,
when you hear
because,
people's stories, they're like,
It takes 10 years.
yes.
Takes 10 years.
And it took 7. No, it took 4. It took 4 years for you. Well,
3 if you discount COVID, it'd 3.
I mean, but before that, it took time to figure out what that
7
was going to
years.
be. It took 7 years to figure out what it was going to be. So the thing that we're not talking about, and so let me say it, is we moved from Connecticut and we moved to California, and dare I say, it was rock bottom.
Absolutely. Well, yeah.
Financially.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful place to live, but it was rock bottom in that, like, we can't even appreciate all of
Fresh out the frying pan into the
fire. It's so unaware. We moved to California on unemployment.
Say it.
On unemployment.
Both of us
We
on
both had
unemployment.
gotten laid off that summer. And we're like, this is the perfect time. Let's go. So we moved to California.
I opted out. I didn't get laid off. I opted out
But you got unemployment.
on purpose. Yeah. Yeah. It worked out.
Okay. Okay. So
It worked out. I may have not been so honest on some paperwork, but let's keep it moving.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Keep it moving. That's neither here nor there.
Then you didn't need to mention it.
Statute of limitations.
Okay, fine. So we moved to LA where we're now going to pay 3 times the rent that we were paying
With a straight face.
in Connecticut with a 2-year-old.
Hey.
Painting a picture here for y'all folks,
Yep.
okay? So we move here and I'm like, I'll get a job.
I can teach anywhere.
I can teach anywhere. Not thinking about the credentialing that you have to get in California, like all of the hoops that I'm going to have to jump through to make these things happen. So here I am in California with a master's degree and a certification in another state that I can't transfer here. And so I'm a TA. I'm working as a TA.
As a TA.
TA. making, I think I was making like maybe $15 an hour.
Wow.
And having to do, okay, great, fine, whatever. But it was minimal money with a master's degree. Here I am. I'm like, oh my gosh. So we get through that, fine. I end up getting what I needed to get. But before that summer before, what happens?
The bottom fell out. The bottom fell out.
All the way out.
All the way out. I heard somebody say it today. There was more John Hope. Write that down.
There was more John Hope.
John Hope Bryant.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Oh, wow,
Yep.
okay. Mm-hmm.
One of his cool sayings is that we had more month than money at the end of the month.
Yes.
We had more month. There's more month than money.
Than money, yes.
Yep.
I've heard that before.
Yep.
I didn't know who said it.
More month than money. And we bottomed out. Could no longer get EDD, which is unemployment. And I'm working an after-school job, making what, 13? No,
you were
probably
making
not, 12.
Maybe
12. And then with the additional work that I was doing administratively, that threw me a couple more bucks, and also coaching on the side, which gave me a stipend of pretty much nothing.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And then hustling and scrambling and training kids, basically to make ends nowhere near meet.
No.
Right?
Because we couldn't even afford our rent at the time.
And then we had our extreme meltdown. There wasn't a meltdown, but we had our gray area time, our time where we thought we were going to split. We thought we were going to separate. It was too much. You know, we're 3,000 miles away from home, right?
Neither of us want to go back.
Neither one of us want to go back. We've got this 2-year-old who's now 3, 4. You know, she's getting older, getting closer to school age. And, you know, there's times where we we need an extension on the rent. We'll get you this rent by this week. Having to borrow this. Even stooping so low to take out payday loans, which is crazy. Don't ever do that. You're better off calling your worst enemy and asking for a loan before you get these predators out of your life.
200%.
Yep.
They can charge legally. They can charge that much, their rate. So you do a payday loan for, say, $150, right? They then end up charging you $400, $500 for it. But they garnish, so they do an ACH to your account, so that then they can just take that money.
Yep.
On payday, you immediately lose a chunk.
Yep.
Of
You're back in the same place that you were before.
Started out with.
You know what I mean? It is so predatory. It's such a bad idea. It shouldn't even be your last resort. It shouldn't even be your last resort. But we were there. And after school program for me, having to pay, I think I made enough money to pay for her daycare. We'd have been better off her just staying with me all day than we would have had, you know what I mean? But yeah, and that's when we hit rock bottom, and that's when we almost lost each other. We weren't communicating well. I was the avoider. And I was the avoider in that time, as you spoke of, because I don't want to have a money talk. You know why I don't want to have a money talk? Because there is none.
No money.
I have to get educated. I have to get my roots. I got to get my bearings so I can bear down and go after whatever this thing that's next. And I didn't know what was next because I never thought past my career. The first time I had an opportunity to think past my career, thank you, Ryan Martin, once again, was in that room in England, my final year in 2010, when he finally broke down how it works for athletes walking away. And he was breaking this down because he plays basketball overseas at the time as a disabled basketball player.
Yes.
He plays wheelchair basketball, doing fantastic in Spain and then finished out in France, right? Fluent Spanish, had his own, and still has his own foundation, nonprofit, has his hands in everything, is now the USA wheelchair basketball guy, the CUNY, all this stuff, top dog. And although he didn't speak about those things at the time, he was the first person to ever introduce me to the idea of how to put a plan of action together moving forward after basketball.
Okay.
So in that room, although I was gone and away from my family, was the first time that the Almighty, I believe this, that the Almighty spoke to me through my guy, Ryan Martin. And he said, Steve, what do you do well? So all you hoopers that might be listening, that might be finishing your career or as they say, the game will tell you when you're done.
Yeah.
The game will tell you when you're done. When it's all over, you got to figure out what works for you, because that's a very small portion of your life that you spent all your waking hours preparing to perform in.
Okay.
And when it's done at 30, whatever, which is only a fraction of your beautiful life, you have to figure out how to enter society, generate revenue, raise a family, and be a functional human. That is not easy. As a matter of fact, for most guys, it don't work. Matter of fact, even making millions for some of these guys, millions upon millions in the NBA and other leagues around the world, they're usually broke within 3 years because they have no way, they have no financial awareness, and they have no idea what they're going to do afterwards.
Right.
Most of them just go into coaching, right? Some, do other things, and some do well. But for the most part, you don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do, but what I did know is that my friend Ryan told me in that conversation, hey, my man, you speak pretty well. You can communicate. You'll be all right. Hey, my man, you're a decent looking guy. You can use that. Hey, my man, you know the game really well. You can use that. Find something within those 3 things right there. Unless there's something else you're not telling me, find something in there and get going. It will all crystallize for you. And man, was he telling the truth.
Yeah. So that's what you spent the first
7 years.
7 years trying to, there was a lot of finding that was happening, right? Let me try this. Let me explore this. Let me just try this thing out. And so there was a lot of trial and error. But in the meantime,
a lot of failures.
That too. And in that time, right, those bills came every month.
Sometimes twice a month.
Sometimes twice a month. And there was a lot of negotiation that had to happen. Like, do we keep sending her to daycare, or do we put her in school a lot earlier than we had wanted to? Because school has a free preschool program. And, I have a lot of thoughts about us putting our children in school too soon and getting them routinized and all of those systems. And so there was a lot of dueling that we had to do, pushing, but it was just
pulling. It was flat out. It was turmoil.
Often.
It was turmoil. That conversation happened at least once every 3 weeks. You know what I mean? And it wasn't a conversation. And let's talk specifically to that, the avoidance. In my head, I'm like, ain't nothing to talk about, so I don't want to have this conversation. And you're saying, no, we got to talk about something, homeboy, because this ain't gonna fly. And next thing you know, we're at each other's throat, and this keeps happening. And there's nowhere to go but down from there. There's nowhere to go. If I can go back and do it again, it would have probably looked a little different. Let's have the conversation. But the truth is, I wasn't as comprehensive as I am now. Now, of course, we're doing well financially. You know what I mean? Just sold a company. Things worked out, right? But at that time, I wasn't comprehensive enough. I hadn't met anybody in my situation. I didn't know what to do at the time. So I had nothing for you. But what I did know, that I was also the avoider, but I was also the dreamer as well. Like, I got some ideas. Something's going to pop off. Something's going to pop off. I just got to, and that's when I put my head down, and that's when I learned about Jim Rohn, and that's when I learned about Zig Ziglar and Les Brown, because I'm like, we can't afford for me to go back to school.
Right.
Can't do that. So I've got to get educated, right? And there's a difference between school and education. That gets conflated all the time. So as I'm doing this work, it feels good. You know what I mean? Bring baby girl to school, go work out. You get to work, everybody's safe, and I get to go learn and, go hustle and do my after school job and go coach and all of these things, amassing a network that would eventually help me, getting these different things. But I also, at the time, feeling good during the day learning, had to come home and deal with my family at night because we didn't have enough. So those nights were rough.
Yes.
$5 pizzas from Little Caesars. Remember the little KFC snack box, whatever thingies? Cheyenne and I would sometimes.
We couldn't even afford that during the week, so let's not even try to play that game. Like that would be like the reprieve on the weekends, right? That was just something that we could have, so I didn't have to cook on Friday or Saturday nights. But but I would just want to add to something that you had said. So you were talking about your not being comprehensive enough to have these conversations. Well, here's my regret. My regret was that I often called up my friends and was discussing because I couldn't talk to you, so I needed to talk to somebody. So I was talking to.
I gotta get it out.
I have to get this out, and so here I am having these conversations with my friends that I hold dear to me, right, and that love you. But I was airing our stuff. And as safe as that space could feel, that wasn't where it should have been going at all. And the reason being that, just because, not because, I didn't want somebody to know, or I didn't want, but that wasn't the right person that it needed to go to. There was not going to be resolve from them, like, agreeing with me.
Right.
That wasn't going to help the situation.
I hear you airing your regret, but I could also say,
I know I had to.
On your behalf, like, there was also no one there, no one who had been in our situation that could kind of coach us. And I'm not saying that there should have been, but there's some things that we just had to go through it to learn it. There was no other way to do it but going through it. And that time was ugly because we considered separating. Well, at least you did. I didn't, but...
Yes. No. Yeah. I was...
You can only push someone and something so far, right? Before something gives. Literally. And I think you were starting to collapse, like under the weight of having to shoulder the load financially, even though I was contributing, but you were shouldering the load. And it's like, hey, I've got this degree. I'm going to work. I'm busting my tail to go here. And although you're doing this, it still ain't enough, bro.
No. And I didn't have a car. So I'm taking the train. I'm
like, from North Hollywood to South LA.
To South LA. Wait a second. So I'm paying all of this money and I don't even have access to the car? Like, I have to take the train. I have to drive. I have to take a bus because the train only takes you so far, and then I got to take a bus across Western. I'm there in 5:30 in the morning with the prostitutes. Like, there were all of these
working
things.
Working girls, thank you.
Sorry. Oh my, I'm so sorry. Working women. Yes, women.
Don't shame these women who are working.
Working women. So they're up and I'm up, and I'm like, this is a whole nother world that I'm so not familiar with. And then I've got to get on a bus. So now I've got to get home. So my commute is an hour and a half.
Right.
First hour being just getting down that long street to get to Wilshire, to then get on the purple, to then transfer to the red, to then get off at the last station, to then, and
you still remember it.
I still remember it because those things are just so vivid for me, right? And then I have to smile and I've got to cook and then I have to show up and act
be
like
a mom.
Yes, while I'm going, okay, if I put $30 on the electricity bill.
You know what's funny is this is real. This is not. We're not making this up. We lived it.
Yes.
This is not fake. This is a real thing. This is a marriage that we're trying to negotiate. We're still, quasi young at the time. You know what I mean? And coming from a world where we've been together forever.
Right.
So no one's been there for us more than each other.
Right.
So at the moment, to not be able to be there in that capacity, once again, I don't think either one of us was comprehensive enough to realize, like, you don't compromise that union because of one thing not being there. You can't see past the moment. It's very tough for the warrior at the moment to see past the moment, and the optimizer to see past that moment. And it's also a clash of the dreamer, because the dreamer feels like, oh, you don't believe in the dream.
When that was never, that wasn't ever the case.
Now I'm feeling away. I'm feeling away about this. And,
right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, wait, all this stuff is happening. So we continue to walk. We continue to walk through this. And we made some changes. We made some moves. And my journey continued. You know what I mean? And every piece of my...
So you took a part-time job that paid a little bit more.
Right. A little more.
You got a job that...
Oh, I did it all. You forgot about my Uber job?
No. I'm saying, because you just said, like, we took some steps.
Did you know I drove Uber for a second? Yeah, I was a head coach at a private school in Santa Monica at the time. And I remember leaving that game, leaving a big game one night. A big game. You got a big win. All the preparation, game film, everything went right. And we got them, won by a point. I got in that car. I'm like, I'm on the west side. It's a Saturday night. It's a Saturday night. I can make some money over here. Hit that meter and got to it. That's real life. That's a real thing that happened. You know what I mean? And this is the life we was living, man. So much so that my wife was like, dog, for the money you making driving, just come home. You putting yourself in harm's way. The last thing I want to do is lose you. I respect your grind, bro. I know you trying, but come home. You know what I mean?
So I was talking out every side of my mouth, basically, because I wanted you to be working. I wanted you to be contributing a little bit more, but I was still like, but not at the expense of this. So you have to, trying to negotiate those things.
Mm-hmm.
And so there was a lot of that had to happen as well. Like, okay, so we're not doing Uber anymore.
Yep.
But what are we doing in exchange?
Yep.
And so then, there was that, and then there was like that battle of time.
Mm-hmm. Because
with every job.
Because when I met you, Mark, I was working at a college. I'm working at Caltech. I'm working at Camino during the day.
And that was for me. That was a love offering to me.
But whether it was a love offering or not,
I mean, it was.
I always tell like my homeboys that are in relationships that are struggling financially, you've got to offer something. Even there's other dreamers out there that have these dreams and goals and ambitions. You've got to offer something, right? Yeah, she may not believe, or she may believe in your dream, but the least you can do is make a sacrifice. Come to the table humbly, offering something. You know what I mean? So that was nothing for me to do that. But that gig brought me to meeting Mark, obviously. So in the morning, Mark, I would knock that out. And you remember, I had to get out of there because I'm zooming straight to practice in Pasadena. So Inglewood, Koreatown, Pasadena, back to Inglewood. Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, I'm working for the Clippers.
He would be gone.
Working for the Clippers. But I was amassing this network. I was learning these skills. And by that time, I had learned, once again, the power of intentionality. I thought that I had narrowed down exactly what I wanted to do. And I knew it was in the area of youth sports or youth basketball. So what I did, I'm glad my Hooper's out there. I'm glad thank you.
You're welcome. I don't know what I did.
I'm coaching, but before practice, I had time to go hoop. So I go to one of the local park centers and I go hoop. And there, I see one of my old athletes, one of my old players. I'm like, yo, didn't your mom or your aunt used to work for the LA Clippers? He was like, yeah, she did. She's in this department or something. I'm like, I didn't even know that department existed.
They had departments, I
didn't even know that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm already working. I get home. I get on LinkedIn. Right? I had a LinkedIn since LinkedIn had popped off. So my numbers were growing. So I looked official on LinkedIn because I was doing it when nobody was doing it yet. I was in LinkedIn in like 2000 and whatever, early.
Okay.
Get on LinkedIn, type in those keywords, youth, sports, professional. Those were the words, youth, sports, professional. Boom, LA Clippers, a couple people popped up. I see a gentleman and I'm like, he's in the youth department. Bang, follow. And I waited for him to hit me back, just like they do in the Social Network, the network movie, where he keeps hitting refresh, hoping the girl. I did that. And maybe a day or two went by, and I found that he accepted me. And the moment I knew that, I shot off my email. Hey, I'm Steve Hodge, so on and so forth.
It was pre-drafted, right?
Huh?
It was pre-drafted?
Absolutely. Pre-drafted. Absolutely.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Steve Hodge. I'm from so on and so forth. I've done this. I can da-da-da-da-da-da-da. He hit me right back. Actually, I might have something for you.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. I ended up finessing that, nailing that, because coaching kids is easy for me, almost at a mastery level for me. I've been doing this since I was 13 with the first summer job that I had.
Weicker.
Yep. So I've been doing this for a minute. So I get there and I do my thing. I'm meeting people, I'm networking, I'm learning what other coaches are trying to do. Some people just want to work in youth sports, want to be in the professional realms. Not me. Why was I there, my love? I was there to learn sports at the highest level. It ain't the Lakers, no. It ain't the Dodgers, no. You know what I mean? But it was a professional sports team that I was employed for. So at worst, I was going to walk out of there with professional sports on my resume to move forward to something else. While also working as a college basketball assistant, learning that game and contributing something. And then from there, because I wasn't really worried about the money, I didn't mind saying yes to everything. Sure, no problem. Corona, let's go. We're in Palm Desert. Yeah, $20 an hour. $20 an hour for all of this stuff. But nonetheless, I realized, I'm like, okay, this is going to help me. And it's the power of intentionality, working for that sports team, that I met my partner. My partner comes in. We had already planted the seed that we wanted to do more. So a couple years go by. He gets fired. It is what it is. But that also pushed us into wanting to do what we wanted to do. I had the conversation with you, and you said, "Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth."
When are you talking to me?
You know, and I know what you want to do.
Right.
Go ahead and start this company. We end up becoming one of the biggest youth sports purveyors, if you will, in Southern California. Now I'm no longer there, but if I didn't have the power of intentionality, if I didn't follow my goals, my dreams, but also while offering something to my significant other, offering something, I'm willing to work this job. I am thinking about us. That thing takes off. That thing takes off. Now, if you want to go back to, would you like to tell the story of how it all comes together in a financial slope that ends up propelling us a little?
Sure. So, okay. So business has been rolling for about 4 years now.
Mark, this is trippy.
We're in the midst of, I think you've heard this story, but we're in the midst of the pandemic, or kind of at the tail end of it. And I would do our taxes because why would we pay, right? So I'm doing our taxes and I'm trying to get his attention. Friend, these numbers don't match. We owe a whole lot of money. We had never owed that type of money before. He's like trying to keep me at bay. He didn't really know. That's what I'm assuming. You really didn't have any idea of like what was going on, correct? Or maybe you did. I don't really know, but he was not communicating any of that to me. So then it's his birthday. His birthday tax day typically happens somewhere around his birthday. So we know that as our mark, right? And we had a trip planned to like celebrate. Am I telling this story okay? Okay. So and we also had some like other not so great information happening at the same time. So there was this huge.
We were trying to buy this house.
Well, we were trying to buy. Yes, we were in the process of trying to buy the home, and yeah, fine. So we're on the trip, the getaway, because it really wasn't a trip. Like we're on the getaway, and he has to take a call, which is like off limits in our, like when it's our time, it is our time, especially at this point, because now we've kind of established the business and there has been so much sacrifice in that. So we are away and he has to go take a work call. And I'm like, friend, come on, what are we doing? So you go and take the call and you come back and you're like, okay, I want you to take over now.
So I knew that what I had to say to her was bulky. I couldn't allow her to press enter to finish our taxes because I knew that we were still waiting on some numbers. And the numbers weren't working, and we couldn't figure out why they weren't working. We just couldn't figure it out. Long story short, two idiots that we are, just trying to build a company, doing the right thing, putting together a database, executing, hiring, firing, putting together curriculum, traveling around the world, hours, da-da-da-da. We're doing all of this stuff, and we figured, what's the end goal? You want to sell your company. Who doesn't want to sell their company for millions? You know what I mean? You want to sell your companies for millions and live like Oprah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Be Steve Jobs or whatever. But we figured to do that, ignorant, fiscally irresponsible, not having this information in front of us. We figured the only way to do that is by having multiple millions of dollars inside of the bank account. Thousands and thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars inside a bank account to prove to someone we guess that would want to buy our company. That is
they were
not
valuable.
the metric. I know now. That is not the metric for selling or even for anyway. So long story short, we had too much money in our account. So because the tax season was what it is, the IRS says, we're going to split all of this money inside of your account as if it's just two people. All we see on the paperwork is an LLC. So we're going to take all of this money, split it down the middle, and tax both of you knuckleheads on what it is. I won't say the number, but it was staggering. Yeah. Like, my wife's jaw was like, what? Well, we hopped on the phone. My partner has a brother who's in finance as well. So I hop on the phone, with my partner, talking to his brother that I had never spoke to a day in my life. He's talking to us like we're fifth graders.
Yep.
What is wrong with you two knuckleheads walking around with this much money in your account? This is America. They could have, you're dealing with kids. They could have said you guys were doing this. They could have said you guys were doing that. What are you,
basically
stupid?
called y'all dope boys.
They would, right. He was like, you could do Fed time for not, what is wrong with y'all? And once again, we say, we're trying to sell the company. We need money. We're trying to sell the company. Duh. He looks at us like, these got to be the two stupidest, dumbest idiots I've ever met in my entire life. Okay, Steve, my partner, I need you guys tomorrow morning, go to your bank. Each of you take out dollars, all right? Give it to a charity. Call it a bonus. Put it in an annuity, a CD. Pay for the kids' tuition. Name it something as a line item and move forward. You cannot keep this much money in your account. You keep just enough in there for equipment, supplies, payroll, you freaking idiots. You dummies, right? This is what's happening. So my wife is listening to this story and she says to me, I hear you. I'm just not quite understanding.
Right.
Cool. The next morning, what do you think we did, Mark? Got back to L.A., and we get up in the morning, and she comes with me. So here she is standing right next to me, checking her phone, looking at me, and I open my mouth and I say, hey, my guy, I'm going to need...
Don't say. Okay. I'll tell you
$100? No, I'm going to need $100 to be wired or transferred into this account right here. And you should hear how timid I was when I said it, because I didn't think I was supposed to be saying it, because why would I ever say something that aggressive? Because my family doesn't come from money. My brother was a millionaire at one point, doing his thing, killing it, but I don't think he had to go do this. So here my goofy behind is sitting there, and I just see my wife's face turning bright red. We get the transaction done, because now we know that we have more than enough to close on this home that's going to be worth millions, right? And as we get in the car, so my wife says, wait 1 minute. She hits the button. Remember that? She hits the button on the radio. I went to school.
Oh, yeah.
For 6 or 7 years. I've got all of these certifications. I've got my bachelor's and my master's. Shout out to UConn.
Thank you.
I got my bachelor's. I got my master's. I had to get these certifications. I had to take these tests and sit and fail 1,000 times, thinking that I was nothing, thinking that I was never going to be enough and that I was never going to be able to help my family in the way that I thought I was going to be able to. You have a 2-year degree after playing basketball for 4 years in something you've never used. Hospitality management. Shout out to Johnson & Wales University, right? And you mean to tell me that your reward for almost destroying your company and our life, our financial life, is you get rewarded on top of what you're generating monthly? Something's wrong here. She said, this is crazy. And that right there was the moment where it wasn't I told you so. It was the I believe you, Mr. Dreamer. It doesn't make sense, but it makes sense. But now I'm conflicted because
I don't do this anymore.
Yeah, she's like, I've been lied to. She's like, I've been lied to. I've been lied to. The dream works.
The dream works.
That really happened.
Yes. And it changed the
trajectory of
our marriage.
In our family.
In our family, absolutely.
Not just that transaction, but that mindset.
Well, the mind shift, because it was just like because we went there, we did whatever we needed to do, and then we drove because you had programming that day. So he had to go. Mark. Yeah, he went to work, he had a homeschool group that he had to work, and I was like,
eyes, ears, marshmallows.
And I'm sitting there watching him, and I'm like, I could not go back to work, like, ever again. Not because, and let's be clear, like, it's not because $1,000 is a lot of money, but it's not a lot of money in our world, right? So it's not because of that, but it's like, I know this man. I know what he brings. I know in ways that I never knew before that I was protected, that I was going to be okay, that things were going to be okay, because I knew this was just one step or one new phase or whatever it was, right? And so being in that space going, I've been doing all of these things and he did it for me. Well,
Right.
not for me, but for me. Let's call it what it is, right? And so you've taken us to another level, and now we can really look at money much differently. And because we can look at money differently, we can look at how we show up in our lives so much differently. Like, I can't explain that to everybody.
Yeah.
And have them understand.
And please understand, we're not just talking about because I was doing well without the bonus.
Yes.
That I had to take out. I was doing well.
Right.
But we were in a moment of having to close on a home. Everyone knows finding the capital for a home is a piece of the equation. Mm-hmm. We no longer had to worry about that. As a matter of fact, we probably had too much money, and that became a problem for us in trying to close.
Yeah.
We probably had too much money. So, this is not about me and the fact that I was able to cash in on a dream. Mm-hmm. It was really about what happened to my wife's mind when I showed and proved. So not only did I take her through it, being the avoider, right? And only being the dreamer. But I also was able to offer, some level of, here, this is what I'll do. Mm-hmm. I'll get up and I'll go to work. I'll get up and go to work. Mm-hmm. I'll still be here spiritually for you guys. I'll still protect you. I'll still take care of the baby. I'll still do all of these things while also coaching and do bow, 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 doing all of these things, right? Mm-hmm. And then it manifested into what I intentionally designed, and it was a company.
Right.
And now having that company and messing up, I think God was just laughing. Like, just do what I told you to do. Mm-hmm. Like, go do what I told you to do. You're going to be fine.
Right.
You know what I mean? You'll be just fine. Yeah. And by pursuing that dream, which really was basketball, that's really what the dream was when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. Mm-hmm. It took me to where we were able to get. And now I'm no longer the avoider, not because we have it, because now I want to be a part of the optimization, because it's making the money, having a successful company, and then selling it allowed me the freedom to get back to dreaming, to get back to optimization, to get back to making sure that my wife is not worrying. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I had the whole thing clicking now. Mm-hmm. And now we are intentionally learning more about not just money, but finances.
Yes.
And the different things that can help us when we're not here.
Right.
When it's just our babies and our grandkids.
Generational wealth.
Generational wealth.
Wanting to be able.
Yeah. We're having conversations about real estate. Mm-hmm. Sitting on the comment. What up, Jeff? I love you, bro. Over at Morgan Stanley, talking to my guy. He's taking care of us. And now we're considering investing in another company. And now if I go back into the workforce, which I don't mind, if I got to go back into the workforce, I'll do it. I ain't no sucker. But now I walk into the workforce as a former CEO and founder of a successful company. Mm-hmm. And not only was I a CEO and founder of a successful company, I amassed a new set of skills that make me really hard to compete with.
Right. You're winning.
And my wife, who busted her butt for us in the beginning, right, shouldered the load, now gets to sit back and work on her body and take care of the home things. And now our bills are paid and the kids are picked up and she's not stressed. And our kids, she's not snippy because I've been at work for 7-8 hours.
Wait a second.
No. Let me finish, because working a job is heavy on you because there's other things you got to do because you want to take care of your body. But when you're at work for 7-8 hours, you don't want to do that when you get home. Mm-hmm. And yeah, you can cook for the family, but the food ain't going to taste that good because I just want to get off my feet. And the kids want to ask questions and they want to do these things. And you're just like, dog, I'm tired, because you were an administrator. Mm-hmm. You had rose through the ranks, right? So they were asking a lot of you as well. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
So the ability for, what has it been, 4 years now that you've been out of the workplace?
4 school years.
Let me tell you something to your face. The food tastes better. The house feels better. There's a burden and a weight that the kids don't feel, right? There's a security blanket that both of them have, as well as me. There's a shoulder to cry on, right? Mm-hmm. There's a hand that if somebody needs to be punched can be balled up at all times. You know what I'm saying? And now you have opportunities to breathe. That is invaluable. Mm-hmm. That's invaluable. You can call me a caveman, you can call me toxic, you can call me what you want to call me. My wife for the last 4 years has been able to freaking live. Sue me. It's beautiful.
Thank you so much for that. It's also given me opportunity and space to really identify what I want to do next.
How dope is that?
And so I get to do that too.
Isn't it funny? Because I bet you there's millions of people who will die never having an opportunity to know what they want to do because they got to work just to make it the next week.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Thank you for that. No. That was great. So I just want to name off some, because in the same breath, right, everybody's path is not entrepreneurial, and that's okay.
Right.
Right. And so now you said you're probably going to talk about Dave Ramsey. So I'm going to talk a little bit about him and his principles and things like that. Okay. So I'm not going to give you too much information, but I do want to name out, first off, right, his big, again, this is not my stuff. This is just stuff that I've read. So, and everybody, you have your thoughts about Dave Ramsey, and that's fine, right? He is a very
Dave is dope.
He is. Behind. He's very country. He is very, what is it? Right wing, left winged, red.
Leave it alone.
He's all of those things, okay? And so you take that with a grain of salt. Instead, really think about what he's talking about. And so that is how I've had to look at him in some of the things that he says, right? So one of the things that they tout is just the idea that everyday millionaires and the idea of an everyday millionaire. And so he says, there's 3 different professions that people don't ever think about because they say like, oh, you don't make that much money or there's not a lot of room for, whatever. What they found is engineers, educators, and accountants are the top employees or careers that lead to a millionaire path. And that is just because of the pragmatism, most likely, has something to do with how they're able
needed.
to.
They're needed.
Well, they're needed. They're needed, but they take his principles or a variation of it, and they create this really good nest egg, and they build wealth on pretty humble, pretty humble. What is it? Salaries. Yeah. That's the word. I'm sorry. I was at a loss. There's a whole lot going on in my head right now. Yeah. And so anyway, I was so surprised when I heard teachers. Because on average, teachers make, depending on where you are. So if you're out here, you maybe make on average maybe about $90,000 a year, which nothing.
Really means 75 for the lower.
Right, and then add in cost of living and all the other fun stuff, right? So anyway.
So then you go to 60.
Right, exactly. And then you automatically have to do your retirement through their program. So then you have to do your own supplemental thing. And so knock that down even lower. Yeah. Right? Okay. So anyway, some of the things that Dave says, like I said, those three careers, top millionaires. These are people who own their homes and have over $1 million with their home amassed. Yep.
Equity.
Yep. Yeah. That is their value. Not their value. What is it called that Jeff was saying?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I know. I'm sorry. I can't think of it.
Can't think of it. Yeah. Okay, fine. So there's that. So everyday millionaires, that's the thing that he touts. And so he has a set of principles that he goes by. It's 7 steps to becoming millionaires. Right. And one of the things that he says is
Put me on.
You want to know?
Absolutely.
Okay. So first, step 1, save $1,000. Get that. That is your emergency fund. You get that together. You scrape, you scrounge, you do whatever you need to do. You sell things to the point that your kids think you about to sell them. That's he says, you get it up quick and you save $1,000. The next step, that's probably the toughest, is now you calculate all of your debt and you tackle it however it is that you need to do that. So you work your full-time job. You Uber, you DoorDash, you Target, you do whatever you can to then tackle that debt. They say most people can get down if they collect all of their debts, credit cards, all of the consumer debt, right? They can tackle that in about 2.5 years.
Okay.
Typically. So that includes school loans, all that other fun stuff. Okay, great, fine. Step 3, after you've done that, now you move into investments. And so you are taking 15% of your money. So that paycheck that you get, you take 15% of that and you invest it however it is that you see fit. So maybe your job does a match of like 6% on that 401k. So you do that.
Yeah.
Yep. So you match it, or you do whatever they max, and then your employer matches, and then whatever else you take that and you put it in an IRA, or you invest in like stocks and bonds or mutual funds or whatever it is that you decide, and they have a whole financial team that will help you through that. So then after you've done that, now you go to 4 and 5. So say you don't have a home. Those are the times when you're like working on, so 4 and 5, I believe is when you're saving for a house. So you get a sinking fund. And so you're taking the 15, you're still investing, but now you're saving this for your house. And then you're also preparing for your school, your kids' schooling. You put money aside for that. Stand corrected. So step 3 is actually 3 to 6 months of an emergency fund. So that's that nest egg. That's the stuff that we talked about, right? So you have that in there. So you started with $1,000. You kept the $1,000. You like paid off your debt. Now 3 to 6 months, you have just aside. So you think about your monthly expenses, times that by 3 or 6, depending on whatever your situation is, and you put that aside and you save that, and you keep it there. It stays in a high interest account and blah, 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 whatever. So then you got step 4. That's the 15% that I was talking about, the investing. Step 5 is college fund. So you're saving for your kids' stuff. And then step 6 is to pay off your home. So now you're focused on that. You're doing the retirement. You're doing all of those things. And now you're saving for your home. And then step 7 is after you've paid off your home, then you start to build wealth and you can give to people. So
that's good stuff.
Yes.
That's pragmatic.
So this is not my principles. I want to name that again. Like, this is Dave Ramsey. This is just, you can look on his website. You can take a look at that. But I love that as such a foundational practice for people as you're looking to build wealth, because he will tell you, you make $30,000, you make $300,000. You can use these same principles and build wealth.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
So
I like that. That's good stuff. That's pragmatic. It gives us some good stuff. And I'll just add, I wanted to talk about Myron Golden, but we don't have the time now because we're rolling. But
okay.
I do want to give 3 quick things.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the money. First things first. Talk about the money. Don't be an avoider. Talk about the money with your spouse, your partner, whoever you love. Whether you're laying in the bed, whether you go out to breakfast, lunch, or dinner, have that conversation. I don't know how often you should have it. All right. Once a week is probably a bit much. All right. Maybe once a month.
Bi-weekly.
Yeah. Okay. Bi-weekly.
Every other Sunday.
Now, if there's if one of you is an avoider and you're tripping over there not being any money, talk about that too. Mm-hmm. That's okay. Talk about what you're going to do in the future. Talk about what came in last month. It's all data. It can be data without emotion. Mm-hmm. This is what came in last month. This is what's probably going to come in this month. This is what we can cover. And this is what we're all working towards, so we don't have these issues. It don't got to be long. I know it's uncomfortable. Have the conversation, right? 2, put plans of action in order. Mm-hmm. Put a plan of action together. I talked about it earlier. Get pens and pads out. My wife probably laughs at me because I have a whiteboard, all right? Get a whiteboard or invest in something. Write it down. Write down your intentional, that's my 5th or 6th time saying it, your intentional goals for the money coming in. Mm-hmm. Right? You may not have it, but so what? Just talking about it alleviates some of that stress. Mm-hmm. It just does, just by talking about it. Whether you're the optimizer, avoider, the worrier, or the dreamer. Yep. Just have it with your spouse, all right? And write it down, because you're looking at it. Now you can both see it, you know the numbers, and you're moving forward, all right? And I've heard people say it 1,000 times, God has to honor that. You know what I mean? It's there. And 3, after you talk about it, be very intimate, because there's something extremely intimate about fighting through difficulties together, whether it's a health issue, whether it's finances, the kids, the jobs, what you're building, your home. When you talk it out with the person that you've made a commitment to, right? And you get to the end of it, whether you screamed and hollered or whether you were talking really, really politely like this and really calmly. You've written it down. You've got it off your chest. Maybe there's some emotions that have to go with that. When you get done, you've actually become closer. Make some love, man. Do the booty. You know what I mean? Do the thing. Get to it. It's a beautiful thing, man.
Yes.
So those are my 3 things right there. Yeah, man.
Those are really good. Those are really good. I want to just name off a couple more people. You said Myron Golden.
Myron Golden.
As one of our gurus, right? Mm-hmm. He's amazing. A motivational speaker. He talks about wealth. He talks about up-leveling. He talks about it from so many different
4 levels of value. That is it. I watch it every day. It's on YouTube.
Yes.
It's called The 4 Levels of Value. His name is Myron Golden. He speaks specifically about finances and wealth, but he speaks it from a biblical sense.
Yes.
So he's giving you some background if that's where you're at. Even if you're not there, Hindu, Buddhist, whatever it is, Catholic, Muslim,
there's
whatever it is,
there.
It's all value, right? And I got it pulled up already. You know what I mean? There's 4 levels of value: implementation, unification, communication, imagination. Remember that when you're looking for the YouTube. It is so good. It is so good, especially if you are the dreamer.
Yeah. Got a couple more names.
Sure.
So I talked about Ramit Sethi. He's good. He's got a funny approach. I don't know his background, like spiritual background or anything like that. I will say Dave Ramsey is a believer. He's a Christian. He talks about those principles. He talks about tithing.
Dave Ramsey.
All the time.
Dave Ramsey.
We have Tiffany Aliche. She is the Budgetnista. She's an amazing, I love her. I follow her on Facebook. She's been mentioned in certain videos as well. So she's an awesome, I can't remember her book right now, but she's great. Check her out. We've also got some of the good olds, like the classics. So we've got David Bach.
Okay, right.
You remember David Bach, right? The millionaire, automatic
is he still
millionaire.
alive?
He is still, he lives in like Italy somewhere now.
Smart man.
Yeah. He took his stuff and left the United States. We've got Susie Orman, who's got a great backstory. So she's amazing, comes not from any real educational background. She's a great, another money guru. So I'm naming those because there's a lot of different personalities, and I think one will resonate with you. And if not, you'll be led in the direction to find your person.
Yeah.
But it's really good to get knowledgeable, and it's really good to just have a simple plan.
Yeah.
A simple plan.
Yeah.
So
you don't got to be you don't got to be Warren Buffett or something like that.
No.
To get to work, and just don't be afraid to tackle it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I
So-
learned something new today. That was really good.
awesome. Really quick recollect. Really quick recollect. The moment when you understood this idea, money doesn't bring happiness, but it does create freedom.
Ooh. Actually, for me, it would be, this is easy. For me, it happened just recently, after selling my share of my company. That's when I realized that's when I realized that, well, one, I got to get back to homeostasis and get back to on balance, because it's something that I built. It was my baby. So I felt like it's gone, and I'm dealing with that emotionally. But in that time, I've actually had literal time to do that. To be able to drop the children off in the morning, go work out, read the books, and just be for a moment. And that right there lets me know that, okay, I did do something, right? I did do something. And although there's a level of monetary increase, and there's some cushion, and there's some ability to put some things together for our future, it also lets me know, man, I'm out here doing lunch with my wife at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday. Yeah. How cool is that?
Freedom.
That's freedom.
Yeah.
And because I did the work. So that was the moment. I knew it. It was in my mind. I'm not ignorant to the idea. But once I sold the company, and even though, we're still moving into something new, that's when I realized, like, yeah, it's about the money. But I swear to you, the freedom, you can't measure it. It's immeasurable.
Yes. Something, mine was pretty similar. Well, the feelings are similar. It's 4 years before, and it was the moment that we made the decision for me to step out of the classroom, step out of education as a whole. So that was my moment where I was just like, oh, wow. And I was pinching myself. Is this real? Is this real? Thank you so much. Remember, there was so many I love you so much. Thank you so much. So much gratitude. Just not having to be or report somewhere, but also to not have to divide my time the way that I've always felt like I've had to, and like how a lot of women end up having to divide their time. So that was a moment that I was just like, I don't need all of, because our lifestyle changed.
Yeah, it did.
But but it did change, but there was a whole lot more of doing the same. Like, we're getting pizza on Friday, and we're washing I still clean my own house. Like, there's a lot of things that did not change.
Right.
But there was a level of freedom now. Like, well, I could get somebody to clean it if I want to.
Right.
But why?
And let's be clear,
that?
we're not millionaires yet, but we've made some moves to where we're not only able to like move around and have some cushion and some freedom and some liberties that we normally wouldn't have if we had to be at a job from 9 to whenever, right? You know what I mean? But seeing your children more, invaluable. And I heard a comedian say, even as a dad, you rush home to your kids so they can ignore you while you're there. That's worth it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's worth it to be able to drop kids off and see them do their extracurricular activities. And who knows? You might end up back in the classroom. I know you're kind of toiling with that, but how about that? You get an opportunity to think about it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't.
Right.
You know what I mean? And we ain't flexing, or maybe we are, but there's some work that was put in.
Right.
There's some work. You know what I mean? We'll talk about that later. I've suffered. You know what I mean? We've suffered. Yeah. But it's suffered enough. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? We trying to live. We're not trying to survive no more.
Right.
The story we told earlier was about survival. Mm-hmm. I almost said something else. Forget survival. Live.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's what it's about.
Right. And I get to see it, possibly. I get to see it from a different set of eyes.
Yeah.
From a love and a passion of education, not identity. It's all about me just figuring out my identity.
Yeah.
And I gathered that from Freedom. So thank you.
I love you.
I love you too.
Very, very cool.
Money,
very,
y'all.
Very cool. Money. There it is. Once again, if you subscribe to this institution that we call marriage, or you're staring down the barrel of it, or you're on your journey, however you are with your partner, spouse, we hope that we've helped. We like to live under the umbrella of edutainment.
Yes.
We're not telling you all of our business, but in context, we're telling you things that we hope can help you, and we hope that have, made you laugh, maybe inspired you, maybe you're shocked, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, follow us on Instagram and TikTok and subscribe here, all right? He's going to put it over here, somewhere over here. But hit that button, like, subscribe, drop us some comments on social media. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you hate, but watch your mouth. My wife is here. I keep telling y'all that, man. All right, watch your mouth. Love y'all. Peace.